Our world-class supercar. Preview of all items is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Wednesday the 12th at the corner of 136th and State Street in Marysville. Check murphyauction.com for pictures and all details. That's murphyauction.com.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
If your home has slow-draining sinks, bathtubs, or showers, that's a danger sign. You might have a blockage building up downstream. Don't fear. Call Deere Services. Visit DeereServices.net. Make an appointment, and we'll arrive at your home within 3 hours or give you a $100 credit. And get this, no service fee. Our experienced technicians will eliminate any blockages, making sure your plumbing system flows as good as new. But don't wait before it's too late. Visit DearServices.net today. Deere Services. There when you need us most.
The longest day of the year is June 20th. Take advantage of the upcoming solstice and book rounds from sunrise to sunset at 12 different premier courses. From Bellingham, Everett, and Marysville to Linwood, Bellevue, and Seattle, even out on the coast, they've got a course near you. Play Interbay, Jackson Park, Jefferson Park, West Seattle, Bellevue, Legion Memorial, Walter E. Hall, Linwood, Cedar Crest, Lake Patton, Ocean Shores, or the Crossroads Par 3. The courses are in great shape and ready for your next round. Visit PremierGolfCenters.com to book your tee time.
Holy smokes, another leadoff home run for J.P. Crawford in back-to-back games.
You're listening to 710 KIRO AM Seattle and KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma, the home of the Mariners. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners dropped their series to the Royals over the weekend, but did manage to get a win on Sunday. Ty France landed on the 10-day IL during that trip with a right heel fracture. To take his place, the club selected infielder Tyler Locklear from AAA Tacoma. He wasted no time getting started, notching his first career hit on Sunday with a go-ahead double. Jewel Lloyd is headed to Paris. The Storm's leading scorer was named to the USA women's team for the 2024 Olympics in July. Also heading overseas to play for gold is Kelsey Plum, Brianna Stewart, Asia Wilson, Brittany Griner, and Diana Taurasi, and more. We'll talk about the selections, whether or not Caitlin Clark should have been among them, and the Storm with Storm broadcaster Elise Woodward coming up in 30 minutes.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Happy Monday. It wasn't a great series for the Seattle Mariners. We do have a lot of takeaways from it, though, and they did manage to get a win on Sunday, plus a roster move, and we're going to be talking about the WNBA and USA women's team selections coming up in 30. A lot to get to in our first hour already. Bump, how's it going? How was your weekend?
What's up? Weekend was all right. I was in Northern Cali. Had to handle some family business on the way there. I'm watching the game on the plane. I sat down. I have a brewski after I get off, watch the last couple innings. I got A's fans to my right, Giants fans to my left.
Are you wearing a Dodgers cap?
Wearing a Dodgers cap,
course.
watching the Mariners. Who is this guy? And they were mad that I asked for the Mariners to get put on the telly, but they put it up because I'm a paying customer, and they like to, satisfy the customers.
How was the trip itself was it Oakland, right?
Oakland.
Yeah.
Oakland is whack.
Oakland
is so bad.
Mixed things.
Goodness gracious. I check into my hotel, and I typically stay in like Emeryville, which is kind of outside of Oakland. And I thought I booked the same hotel, but I didn't. And I walk in to check in, and there's like two men hollering in the lobby, "Y'all got to fix your door. You're messing up my luggage." And I look at the lady in the front desk. I go, "I'd like to cancel my room."
Immediately,
I'm going to go get comfortable.
leaving.
Like, come on, I can't even. Oakland is a mess, man. There's some good parts, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I ain't seen them.
I mean, when I Googled pictures of Oakland, it looked pretty.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what it really
I'm
looks
sure
like,
it's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you got your deposit back for that reservation. You were able to cancel, and we're glad to have you back. Also, you were not just getting in fights with patrons at the airport while wearing a Dodgers cap. You were also getting in Twitter fights.
Oh, that was on me.
You had a take. Now, this was a take that you had during after Friday's game, I should say. Something tells me that this take kind of extends over the course of the series because it's the same kind of thing. So what did you say? What were people saying back? You were ready to – I don't think you were ready to throw hands. I was going to throw hands for you. I just want you to know that.
I appreciate
you got it, buddy.
You having my back. No, I sat down, and obviously they tricked off that game on Friday. They tricked it off. I watched it all go down. And, I'm sitting down, and I'm looking at this team differently. I think I've taught myself not to get too emotional when it comes to the team and kind of look for the battles that you win in the quest to win the war, which is the division and getting into the playoffs and do your thing. So I'm like, look, man, the Bats did what they're supposed to do. Little homie Bliss had himself a big moment. They're still going to win this series. Now, they didn't win the series, but I look at that game and I go, they spotted you 8. You put 8 up on the board. If I were to tell you before that game that the Mariners are going to put up 8 runs, you're probably like, they're going to win this game because pitch is going to be on point. So it was like the offense did what they had to do early, didn't show up late, I guess, when they really needed it. But it was really like the arms that failed you at the end of the day. You had a couple errors, too, as well along the way. But I look at this and I go, the fact that offense put up 8 runs in Kansas City, to me, was a win because I'm looking for checkpoints. I'm looking for indicators that are saying they are capable of doing this. Now, granted, you got 7 runs in the first, then you sprinkle 1 run throughout the rest of the game. But to me, I wasn't more focused on the way they lost. I'm focused on what they did. Because if they were to put up 8 runs in the next 4 or 5 games, I'm going to say, you know what, they're probably winning those games because our arms are on point. So I put that up there and people were disgusted. But what are you talking about? Somebody called me a lapdog and all that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Just because I'm not viewing this as a one game type of situation. I'm looking for, it's like when my kids do something. It's like when my kid was a child or a baby, Jada, she used to love to draw, and she's probably my most artistic kid. And she draw. And one time she drew on the door. I'm like, dang it, she drew on the door. That's a nice drawing, though. All right, now let's just have you draw on paper now. So it's kind of like that. I'm looking at the drawing that the Mariners had on a Friday, and I go, dang, at the end, you tricked that thing off. But the drawing was okay. The finished product isn't where it needed to be. So, yeah, man, I look at it a bit different, and people were on my head.
They were
I'm here for it, though.
On you.
I'm here for it.
Wow, Bump. Just like a sports announcer, bad comment. Tell it like it is. They sucked. You also got, let's see, embarrassment. Was another one. Again, Seattle sports media is such lapdogs. I don't know, man. I know me, you, and Curtis were all texting each other during this series, and Curtis joked like, "I can't wait to get out of Kauffman Stadium," and your pun was more like "cough up the lead, man" stadium, which exactly I did laugh at it. I did laugh at it.
There
bro.
you go.
That was a good one.
It was a good one. But I don't think that all losses are created equal. Now, if you were to tell me, hey, the Mariners put up 7 in the first inning and lose this game, I'd be like, shut up.
Yeah, right.
Get out. This is stupid. I have seen really embarrassing Mariners collapses before. I've also never had more faith in a pitching staff before. And so that's where I'm coming at with this series. Also, like, man, I'm not the coach. I'm not Scott Service when people were yelling at you, way to excuse this law. For what? What do you want me to do? What am I supposed to do? I'm an analyst, right, is how you're looking at it.
Exactly.
I'm not an analyst. I'm a host. But, we're looking at this, and we're going, well, here's what I liked, and here's what I didn't. I genuinely enjoyed watching 75% of this series.
Yeah,
I
sure.
hated the end of 2 of these games. And there was a certain point where I just got up quietly. I turned off the TV, and I just left.
Hey.
I was like, I'm done. All right, well, that'll do it for this one. I'm disgusted.
Yeah.
But I genuinely enjoyed huge chunks of this. There were defensive gems, a great play by Ryan Bliss.
Beautiful.
A great catch by Mitch Haniger. Obviously, you mentioned Ryan Bliss's home run. There were so many moments where you thought, like, I like this. I mean, game 2, they kind of, like, got back into this one, right? I mean, it was 1-1 early, and then they start falling behind, and then they get back. The Royals entered this series with one more win than you had. It's not like you're playing a horrible team. I know we thought the Royals would be worse to start the season, but
they're not.
I did not mind this series. I would have liked a series win. I'm not railing my fists at the sky going, this is inexcusable.
No, they avoided the sweep.
tripping.
You know, they avoided the. And again, if Kansas City were a horrible team, I think I would feel different about this. But if you guys don't know, I've coached my whole life, my whole post-football life. And there are some games where you look at it and say, it just didn't happen for us. You did so many good things. They did a couple things better than they showed up late. I look at a loss like the one on Friday where they completely collapsed, and I go, you know what? They're going to grow from that loss. They're going to grow from it. Because if you do get into the playoffs, there's so much emotion and momentum that goes into things. So now that doesn't feel unfamiliar. Could you imagine, man, I remember playing or coaching a team where we got up and we didn't know how to act. We're up 23, 21 points, and guys are acting like the game is over on the sideline. Boom, team comes back, and they beat us. So then you know what? A few weeks later, we go up, and guys are like, lock it in. This game ain't over. So it's that's the way I look at things. Yes, it's a horrible loss. You probably could have won 2 out of 3 of those games. KC is a good ball club. I understand all of that, but they're going to grow from this. You avoided the sweep. You still got a 5-game lead in the division. It's not an excuse. It's just a way that I look at these ball games.
I'll tell you what it is. I don't want to water down my complaints. I want my complaints to be potent. I want them to be strong. I want them to really carry, like a little bit of weight. I don't want to water them down. So I don't want to complain endlessly about a lack of offense and then complain endlessly about a game when they got a lot of offense in that game.
Yeah.
That's one where I just have to go, okay, well, like if I, this is not the best analogy, but here's an example. If I was screaming and crying for this team to add a bat, and they made a huge trade, and they brought in a bat that I absolutely loved. If that guy went 0 for 24 to start out, I can't complain.
Yeah.
I can't. I simply cannot, because my complaints have already been that there's not enough offense and they need to do something. So that's when you just go, all right, well, I'm not going to add water to this complaint. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna water down the bottles of this complaint about offense. I'm going to leave the caps on. I'm going to leave them alone, and I'm just going to watch this game and go, all right, well.
Yeah. People complain about the offense, right? And then you literally go up 8. You go up 8 runs, right? You complain about the offense, but it's like, no. I don't want the offense early. I want 2 in the first. I want 3 in the fourth. I want 2 runs here. It's like we can't control how we get this offense. Did the bats go cold for a while? Heck yeah, but to start the game, they were hot. J.P. Crawford had 2 at-bats in the first inning. That's how hot this offense was to start. So I'll take that. Would I have liked a sustained approach? And sustaining, 8 runs in the first whatever innings. So you want them to score 16 runs? You're not going to score 16 runs in a game like that.
That was my favorite, as someone commented, they didn't score runs when we needed them, Bump.
You need runs whenever you can get them. And then when you have the rotation that you have here, when you go up 7-8, you should feel good about your chances to win. I think this is the first time the offense really came through, and the arms have struggled a bit. And I think you're going to have those situations, especially when you're playing a team like the Kansas City Royals, where they are a good hitting team. I think they're like 7th overall in batting average. OPS are like top 5 in the league. This is a good team. You got a guy like Witt over there who's going to ball as well. You can... and you should question everything, right? I'm not saying just because I say that it is law, that this is what it is, this is the way that you should look at it. I'm just giving you a different perspective because people hang on to every single game and every bat, and it's because of the passion, and they love this team, and I appreciate that about them. That's why when people were getting at me, I wasn't even mad. I was laughing at some of the stuff. Some of the stuff was good. I go, you for real got me rolling with this one. This is just the way that I look at games because, one, I want to keep my sanity, and 2, I understand that there are check marks you need to get off the list if you're really trying to build, especially a team like the Mariners, because you don't have the guaranteed power and production that these other teams have. So when a team goes out there and they show me, okay, you can get hot in the inning, the youngster's going to hit a home run, you got Mitch who seems like he might be figuring some things out, I'm thinking, okay, we're moving in the right direction. Unfortunately, man, you did stall out at the end.
I maybe we're wrong and maybe we're crazy, but again, I don't want to water down that complaint. If we're going to come in here and we're going to complain every time the offense doesn't get going, and if they don't acquire an impactful somebody, it doesn't have to be a huge name, but someone who can genuinely help the team at the deadline, I will complain.
Yeah.
I'll let you know right now. Then I'm kind of not a hypocrite, but just kind of a negative Nancy. If all I do is find something to complain about no matter the loss. I'm cool with the arms. They fell apart.
Yeah. Bad day.
I'm cool with your bullpen. It needs a little bit of help.
Yeah, you need some help there.
But I'm cool with it. Didn't work out in this one. I was also very cool with a club that got 10 hits on Friday when they had 4 hits over 2 games against a horrible A's team.
If every team were a finished product, we wouldn't need to play these games. You wouldn't need managers to shuffle the lineup to figure things out. You wouldn't need to promote guys from AAA. You wouldn't need to make all these adjustments. That's the beauty of a regular season, especially in baseball, when you got so many opportunities to try to figure some things out. It's like, look, you're trying to see where this team is at, and you're trying to see what you need to do to help improve this team, and if they are making the adjustments themselves. And Friday was bad. It hurt, especially because I'm watching there talking crap to all these fans in Oakland. I'm in a foreign territory by myself, sipping the Coors, watching the game, right? And they are on my head. But I stood there and I said, you know what? We'll take this on the chin because in the long run, I think this could help this ball club. Hey, but like I said in the email, don't do that again, though. You can't do it again. Now, I'm not saying go out and score 8 and be up 7 or 8 runs and then trick it off in the end. I'm not saying that's okay. Don't do it again. But I'm saying, all right, man, we took some steps in the right direction.
I agree. Like, what you don't want is, and then this is when it is fair to complain, for a theme to be that they let a big lead go.
Yeah.
Right? Or that, like, let's say Stanek, or one particular arm regularly struggles in a certain situation but keeps getting put out there. Like, there are certain things when it becomes a pattern you go, man, this staff collectively giving up 9 runs is not a pattern.
Right.
So again, if it starts to become an issue, or if we start to pull things from this series and go, hang on a minute, why do we keep seeing this? Why do we keep seeing collapses, or why do we keep seeing whatever it is? Then we're having a conversation.
For sure.
Because then one needs to be had. Should be a playoff team. Fans deserve a playoff team.
My kids make mistakes all the time. First one, all right. Second one, watch it. Third one, son, let's talk about what the heck's going on.
Let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number 1, Ty France was placed on the injured list with a hairline fracture in his heel. No timetable has been given for his return. What's the real headline?
There is, however, a timetable at the trade deadline, and that's July 30th at 3 p.m. Pacific. So let's keep an eye on that guy. Obviously not great for Ty France, who quietly had been seeing some real improvement at the plate. It's such a bummer, but thankfully this is going to be a short stint. It's retroactive to the 8th, meaning the 18th-ish when he's eligible to be back.
Yeah, unfortunate to see Ty France put on the IL. What is fortunate is that you got to see some debuts. And Tyler Locklear, see, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do what you think I'm going to do. Tyler Locklear had himself an all right day, right? Had a double, scored a run. And this is one of the things I love about baseball is that you get to see so many debuts. In football, a guy might get promoted from practice squad or whatnot, but you don't hear about these dudes for weeks and for months, and the anticipation. Are they going to get called up? When are they going to do it? And then you get to see him, and you get to see a young man like Locklear do his thing. We've seen Bliss do the same thing. We saw Classe have his opportunity as well. I love this for the game. I hated that it comes at the expense of Ty France, but he stepped up and did okay.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 2, Caitlin Clark was not among the 12 players selected to the U.S. women's Olympic basketball team. What's the real headline?
Was this about a lack of merit or just a way to avoid a distraction?
It was BS is what I think. And Curtis sent us an email, and someone said, who said that? We're not just going to hand this girl everything. You remember who that was, Curtis?
I couldn't remember who it was, but the take was, like, do we really have to hand this girl everything?
And when I read that, I thought, are we handing her everything?
Yeah, what are you handing her?
Was she not the number 1 pick? Did she not have the most points in NCAA history? Then I went back and I looked at, this has happened before. Patrick Ewing didn't play a game in the NBA, went to the Olympics. Michael Jordan, I know, I get it. David Robinson, Anthony Davis, Christian Laettner. Then on the women's side, Candace Parker did it. Candace Parker now, arguably the greatest WNBA player of all time. Her very first game in the WNBA, she scored 34 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, and she got MVP that year. I get it. But some people are acting like because Caitlin is getting all of this notoriety and popularity that she should be punished and not be on this team. There's no reason why she shouldn't be on this team. She's 13th in the league in scoring. More points than Diana Taurasi, who's on this team, and she's 41 years old. Not saying Diana shouldn't be on this team. She's a baller too. She's 4th in the league in assists with 6.3. Jewel Lloyd, our girl, local girl who's on the team, 3.7 assists per game. She's shooting 32% from deep. Sabrina's shooting 33% from deep. So I look at the numbers and I go, it's not like she would be it's a charity situation where she doesn't deserve to be on the team. Statistically, there is a conversation and an argument for her to be on that team. It's almost like the WNBA wants to protect some of the players who are hating on her and be like, oh, well, we don't want to make them feel a certain way, so let's keep her off the team. I'm not saying that it's 100% she should be on the team, but don't act like there isn't an argument to why she should be on the team.
I absolutely agree 1,000%. It certainly feels like the WNBA avoiding a distraction, which, by the way, WNBA, you have wanted and frankly deserved the level of attention that you're getting right now. Embrace it. The WNBA is doing such a horrible job with handling the attention it's getting. Guess what? You don't always get to control whether attention is purely positive or purely something you can control. Sometimes attention is out of your hands and it's a bit of a mess. And that's what's happening with the WNBA right now. More people are talking about watching the WNBA than ever before. And a lot of it is controversial and a lot of it is messy. You just have to lean into it. And you know what? We're going to take the leading scorer among all rookies for this team. Because, by the way, the way we talk about Caitlin Clark, like, oh, she doesn't deserve it. What has she proven? You wouldn't realize that she's leading all rookies in scoring right now. Like, the way people talk about her is as though she came in here and she's a bust and she's just disappointed. Like, she's not balling out the way she did in college. There's a big learning curve here, but she is leading all WNBA rookies in scoring with 16 per game.
And she's the 13th leading scorer in the league. And I think her style of play is going to be more effective on the international game because you don't play as physical as you do in the WNBA. Real quick, Caitlin Clark, the WNBA handling Caitlin Clark is like they haven't been here before, so they don't know how to handle it. It's kind of like when I was in middle school, I was a nerd. No girls talked to me. I was a dork, right? Then I get into high school and I start scoring touchdowns, and now they all want to talk to me, and I don't know how to handle it. I don't know how to talk to nobody. I don't know. I was socially awkward. That's kind of like the WNBA. They're so socially awkward with this. They're not sure how to handle it. She should be on the team, but there's an argument for her not to be on the team. So.
Would you say back then they didn't want you, but then you were hot, they all on you?
Mike Jones. Mike Jones.
Okay. We're going to talk more about this at 10:30. What's next?
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 3, the Celtics beat Dallas 105-98 despite a late run by the Mavericks. They lead the NBA Finals 2-0 with the series heading back to Dallas for Game 3. What's the real headline?
I think that might be where the series ends, too. Guys,
man,
I don't want to say it, especially to the Lakers fans sitting to my right, but this looks like it could be a sweep.
It could be, but you still got to go to Dallas and win. And the Mavericks had opportunities towards the end of last night's game, but Luka is turning the ball over at a high clip right now. He just can't do it, but he also can't do it all by himself. Kyrie needs to show up. They need Kyrie and then a third person to show up because the Boston Celtics are showing just how deep they really are. Jaylen Brown has been the best player on this team throughout the playoffs. Then you get help from White and everyone else. They're the more complete team, so it's going to take a great effort to even get them back into this. I don't think they'll sweep them because I always think that you go home and emotions change a bit, but it ain't looking too good, man. Defensively, they've been on point. It's hard for Luka out there, man. He's by himself at this point.
Looking good so far, at least, are Porzingis' chances to play in Game 3. He said he feels good. However, he did tweak that same leg that he was dealing with, that calf injury that kept him out for about 5 weeks before returning in Game 1. He was dominant in Game 1, great in Game 2 before being injured late. If he's not playing on Wednesday, what's that mean for the Mavs?
It means they have a chance. I think they have a chance regardless. But obviously, when you have a 7-footer who could shoot and play defense and do all the things that Porzingis can do, it helps you out a little bit. But I'm telling you, you need somebody off the bench. You need that kid, that rookie Lively from Duke, to kind of step up for Dallas to do their thing. You need more than 16 points from Kyrie Irving. You need a lot to go right for Dallas to get it done. We've seen them overcome a great team before. Remember 2012, Dirk Nowitzki and all those guys beating LeBron James and the Miami Heat. You need something like that to happen. You need some magic to go down because it ain't looking too good.
All right, let's head to the Mac and Jack's text line. I'm going to collect a little bit of reaction here. The Caitlin Clark conversation is a complicated one to have, and I think right now having a conversation in general about the WNBA, about Caitlin Clark, there's so many interesting layers to this conversation. Just because something is difficult, though, doesn't mean you shouldn't have it. We're going to continue it, and I'm going to include some of these comments a bit later in the show that people are sending in. But we're going to continue this conversation with Storm broadcaster Elise Woodward. She joins us next.
The Dugout. Go in depth with the Mariners.
Goodbye, baseball.
With voices like Rick Riz, Aaron Goldsmith, and Dave Sims.
This is a club that has the ability to go on another run.
You never know when a team is going to get hot.
This team's window is wide open.
Hear from the players and coaches and go behind the scenes with insider Shannon Dreyer.
We are seeing him comfortable with where he is at the plate. We're seeing a guy that has his timing.
The Dugout. Tuesdays at 1 p.m. on Seattle Sports.
Chill or grill on a new deck this season. Get a free Makita Bluetooth radio or portable pellet grill with a qualifying PAR deck package purchase. But hurry, offer ends soon. Visit par.com for details. PAR, your total home building source. Go where the builders go.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Shane Company loves Seattle so much, we decided to open another jewelry store in the area. Come say hi at our new South Center Square location in Tukwila. Shop our beautiful selection of fine jewelry or stop by our new Create Your Own station and make something one of a kind. You can also step into our pop-up radio booth to share a story about your jewelry for a chance to be featured on the radio. And of course, you can still visit us in Linwood too. We can't wait to see you.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and Shanco.com.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Saving for retirement was tough enough for us.
Yes, and navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we take a disciplined approach with your investments.
Tell us more about that.
We take an active approach to money management, positioning your portfolio for opportunities we see ahead.
So all your clients get the same portfolio?
No, we tailor your portfolio to your individual goals and needs.
What about communication? We don't like being left in the dark.
We check in regularly to keep you informed on the markets and your portfolio.
Which means you'll help us stay on track.
Yes, our goal is your comfortable retirement. And as a fiduciary, we always put your interests first, because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
When choosing a painting professional, the choice is simple. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters. Hi, this is Ursula Reutin. CertaPro Painters did such a beautiful job on our home. In fact, we were so happy with their excellent workmanship and great communication, we hired them for another project. And once again, we were thrilled with the outcome. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here in Western Washington. Schedule your free estimate today at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro.com.
We are Seattle Sports.
Ringing the bell, Cal Raleigh, a 2-run single. And the Mariners' lead is now 6-3.
The home of the Mariners.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, from Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Dr. Wagner is hosting a free stem cell webinar this Tuesday night at 6 to explain how stem cell therapy works.
I'm really looking forward to this live webinar to educate on how using your own stem cells can be an extremely successful method to help regenerate native tissue in rotator cuffs, meniscus tears, and reduce pain in osteoarthritic joints.
And which joints have you seen good success with?
Shoulders, elbows, hips, knees, even wrists and ankles. And in this live webinar, we'll tell you all about the procedure, how simple and safe it is using your own stem cells, and how we determine if you're a candidate.
Dr. Wagner has performed over 20,000 stem cell procedures. Are you in pain? Join him this Tuesday night at 6 for the free stem cell webinar and learn all about this amazing procedure. Register now at drmarkwagnermd.com. That's drmarkwagnermd.com.
Hey, sports fans, ready to take your fitness game to the next level? At Emerald City Athletics, they're on your team. Score big this June with the unbeatable summer sale on now. Get 20% off all memberships and join with 0 enrollment fees. There's never been a better time to get started at Seattle's favorite local gym, Emerald City Athletics. Whether you're looking to build strength, increase endurance, or just stay in the game, their team of fitness pros will come up with the perfect game plan for you. Emerald City Athletics' top-notch trainers and state-of-the-art facilities are there to help you crush your fitness goals, whatever they may be. Hey, don't wait. Join the winning team at Emerald City Athletics and start a customized fitness journey that will level up every area of your life. Get started today with 20% off all memberships and no enrollment fees. Some restrictions apply. This summer sale is on now for a limited time. Emerald City Athletics has gyms in Wallingford, Columbia City, Ballinger Village, and Everett. Stop by any Emerald City Athletics location to lock in exclusive summer savings today.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right. Joining us in just a bit, we're going to bring on Storm broadcaster Elise Woodward. Before we get to it, I'm going to head to the Mac and Jack's text line for some reaction to our conversation about Caitlin Clark. And I'll probably interrupt myself as it looks like we're going to be bringing on Elise in a minute. So we're going to talk about the Storm for sure. We're also going to talk about Caitlin Clark maybe not being snubbed from the Olympic roster. We are going to talk about just in general the conversation around Caitlin Clark. So much to cover. Elise joins us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Elise, how's it going?
Hey, Stacey, what's happening?
Happy to have you. We are absolutely going to get to the Storm. Bump and I were just talking about the Olympic team and whether or not Caitlin was a snub. Caitlin, for her part, said she didn't feel like she got snubbed. It gives her some motivation, extra motivation. She'll be rooting for these women and always a fan. But how did you see it? Did you see it as a point of merit? What were you surprised by the news she wasn't included?
I wasn't surprised she wasn't included, and the ironic part about it is because her team at Iowa made the Final Four, she didn't get to go to USA training camp, and all those other players went to USA training camp. And so I think for those that don't really follow it closely, it's like two different departments. There's the business and marketing department of the USA Olympic squad, which obviously Caitlin Clark would be like the number one draft pick. And there's actually the team and the roster and all of the things that they've done to earn the spot on the team. That's a different department. And right now where she is as a rookie in the WNBA, she's not one of the 12 best. So it's like two competing factors of like what's important. And, it's really difficult because, either way, you're either going to – you can't put her on the team if she didn't earn the spot, and I don't believe she's earned it yet. She's a fantastic player, and I love her, and I think even she realizes that these players are the 12 of the best in the world, and she's just a rookie. She's going to be there, but it's very, very rare for a rookie to make the U.S. Olympic women's team. It just is.
Elise, how you doing? Good to hear from you.
Good. What's up, Michael?
I went to the game where the Fever were out here in Seattle, and they obviously they played the Storm. And the thing that I noticed from Caitlin, I think you see the talent. Obviously, it's undeniable. Even if she leads the league in turnovers, that eventually is going to connect for her. But I think the thing that she struggles with the most is just the physical part of the game. I mean, I saw the Storm make a conscious effort to touch her on the hip every time inbound play was in. She's getting the ball down the court. What part of her game do you feel like once she figures that out, she'll take that next step?
It's crazy, Michael, because she's the number one player on the Indiana scouting report. And you're talking about a rookie, so every rookie, they're going to come out with, most of the time, physical play. They did it with Kelsey Plum. They did it with Sabrina Ionescu. They did it with Jackie Young. These are all number one overall picks that in the first couple years struggled. And now they're all all-stars, and now they're all the Olympians. So it takes some time. There's 144 allowable roster spots in the world for the WNBA. So the level of play, what it takes, it takes a minute to get used to how good these players, you're talking about multiple all-stars on every single roster. So for Kaylin specifically, I mean, I already think she's one of the best shooters in the world. And I think, just getting a little bit of rest, she had 7 threes in her last game. It was a phenomenal performance where she put in 30. She's going to get better as the season goes on. Even though she's not on the Olympic squad, which I think, we would have loved to have seen her on there. For her personally, I think it's probably the best thing for her not to be on this squad because she took a European trip with her Iowa team. All of the pressure and the ESPN articles and the national spotlight and all of that all season long with Iowa. She made it again to the Final Four. As soon as that Final Four was done and packed houses and it was the WNBA draft and she's in New York and she's doing photo ops. And as soon as that happened, she played 11 games in the WNBA. She had a 2-week training camp. 11 games in 21 days or something just ridiculously crazy. She's exhausted.
Yeah.
And you can tell in her play. She's a fantastic shooter. She's Steph Curry range. There's no shooter that has the range like Caitlin Clark. Nobody. But right now, she just needs time to take a breath and settle herself in. And I would expect after the Olympic break, when she's had time to rest her mind and her body, that she's going to take off. But there's just so much on her plate right now. So, she's fabulous. She's fantastic. She's helping everybody. She is raising the tide of all boats in the WNBA and women's basketball. I just hope that for the fans that don't know much about the WNBA, that it doesn't turn them completely off, that maybe they take a minute, take a breath and be like, why isn't she on this team? Oh yeah, there's 12 fantastic players ahead of her on the roster that in 4 years, she'll probably most likely be one of them.
Kind of a related question, Elise, but there have been so many new eyes, so many new fans brought as a result of Caitlin to obviously an amazing league, an amazing sport in general. But with the new eyes comes a lack of context for a lot of things. What's something that as a broadcaster you find yourself wishing that new fans knew, maybe particularly about the Caitlin Clark kind of conversation at large right now, or even more broadly about the WNBA?
Well, one, the talent level in the WNBA and how long it usually takes for players to get good. Like I mentioned, the 3 number 1 overall picks that are guards. Now, you can look at Breanna Stewart, and people looked at her. She was 6'4". She was a 4-time national champ at UConn, and she immediately came in. It's just different when you're 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". You have an advantage over all the guards that are playing against 30-year-old women. That it's just different. And so it takes longer for guards to make it in the WNBA and to figure out their space and their angles and all that. For people that are just watching, I think it's fantastic. I think Caitlin Clark has been amazing. The league was already growing exponentially since 2020, and she's only put gasoline on the fire of people being like, what is this Caitlin is wildly entertaining. The shots that she makes, I've said it, I think for the average fan that maybe has not watched women's basketball very much, she does things that the average dude says, oh my God, I couldn't do that. And that's a difference maker for a lot of casual fans. You're not making shots from 35 feet with regularity. You're just not. And so I think there's an appreciation factor for her and her skill set. There are a ton of other players that are super talented in other areas, though. Like Caitlin's got to improve her defense. She can't turn the ball over as much, but she's a fantastic passer. She's a fantastic shooter. And those other parts of her game with time are going to improve to where she's an elite player in the world. So I just think the patience of she's not there yet. That's okay. That's normal. Like I think for a lot of fans, they don't realize because they maybe haven't watched closely how phenomenal and amazing. We're talking to the best players in the world are all in this league. So give her a little bit of time to breathe and she'll be there. Nobody's out to get her. Like it's a competitive sport. Like the Chuck with Kennedy, that's going too far and that should have been upgraded to a flagrant foul and it was, but she's your typical rookie. Like, yeah, okay, you get all the pub, I'm coming at you. That's what happens in sport. It happens at every level, whether you're a freshman on the high school team and varsity where you're like, what's this little guy doing? Or what's this little girl doing making varsity? In college, in pros, you get checked when you're the first one, when you're a rookie, when you're a freshman. And it's nothing about Caitlin specifically, but that's just like, that's called sport and competitiveness. And Caitlin, kudos to her, the credit. She has talked about it. She knows it. She has been brilliant with answering these questions from people who are all fighting for her. And she's like, no, that's really not the narrative, but I appreciate the support.
Yeah, she's had a target on her back her whole career probably.
Yeah.
But I got to ask about the Storm before we get you out of here, man. 7-4, second in the Western Conference. When I look at this team play, obviously, I think when it comes to putting up points, they're top 4 or 5 in the league. But defensively, they're all over the place, man. Getting the boards, steals. Is this the identity of Coach Quinn when she was playing, or is this something that she's kind of developed over her coaching career and getting her team to play like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think both. I think the roster with the addition, the first thing when they said we want to go get Nneka Ogwumike, who was a former MVP and champion in the WNBA, we want to go get Skylar Diggins-Smith. I was like, those two are individual defenders that are two of the top in their position in the world. And they're still, they're in their 30s. And so it was like, how much do they still have? And Skylar Diggins-Smith has had 2 babies. How has she come back? She is in phenomenal shape. Nneka still looks really good. She's missed a few games with some minor tweaks, but when they're on the court right now and healthy, they look fantastic. And defensively, with Jewel Lloyd, who can defend, and with Ezzie Magmagor, who is right now playing out of this world. She was an all-star last year. She's had multiple blocks, like 10, 11 games in a row. I've lost track. But defensively, this team can absolutely shut down other opponents. And we talk about in the playoffs, that's what wins, right? Defense and rebounding, and their rebounding has been better than expected, and their defense has been top-notch. So, I mean, they've got multiple All-Stars, multiple Olympians that are on their roster, and so they can compete with New York. They can compete with Las Vegas as they just beat Vegas. So it's fun. If you're a Storm fan and you're coming out to watch, they can beat anybody in the league. You couldn't have said that last year, but with the additions of Nneka and Skylar, like they're a fun team, and they can make a run this year, that's for sure.
All right, well, lucky for you guys, next Storm game is going to be here at home. Sparks coming to town tomorrow, 7 p.m. Get out there and watch this one. Storm broadcaster Elise Woodward, kind enough to join us. Thanks so much, Elise.
Thanks, Elise.
Anytime, you guys. Yep, have a good one.
See ya. You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Switching gears, heading back to the Mariners for back-to-back segments here. We're going to talk a little bit about some future stars at 11 with Joe Doyle. Before we get to it, what's their biggest need right now? Don't go anywhere.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
Mandatory practices for the Seahawks, and start to really see this offense, Brock, and what it looks like. We saw a lot of Jackson Smith and Jigbo. He was really the talk of last week. Everybody just raving about what he had done. Also, there's no Tyler A
Tyler Locklear and a Tyler Lockett.
That's just not right.
And a Mitch Garver and a Mitch Haniger.
There was no Tyler Lockett, nor was there a DK Metcalf. So we're going to finally get to see those guys.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey, Mike Salk here. Get bonus days to save during Window Nation's semi-annual sale now through June 30th. Get 50% off all windows with no interest for 5 years and a bonus 10% savings when you schedule an estimate. Call 866-90NATION or go to windownation.com.
Looking for a new ride? Visit harnissautofamily.com for the hometown hookup on new Subarus, Chevrolets, Buick, GMCs, Kias, and Volkswagens, plus over 300 used cars and trucks. Tell them Brock sent you. harnissautofamily.com. People matter.
Hey everybody, Bob Stelton here. I recently met with Anthony, the owner of Asset Roofing, to talk about a metal roof which can last twice as long as ordinary shingles. Asset Roofing is seeing a huge push in the market for metal roofing. They create each metal roof at their headquarters, custom to each job, and that allows them to offer metal roofs with up to a 30% discount over their competitors. Check them out at AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
Are you still using allergy pills and sprays to treat your allergy attacks? I'm Dr. Ryan Stern with the Stern Sinus Center. Nasal congestion, sneezing, runny nose, snoring, facial pain are just a few of the sinus symptoms we can help you out with. From allergy workups and treatments to modern nasal breathing procedures to advanced outpatient balloon sinuplasty, we can diagnose and treat your problems. Let us help you get relief, easily, quickly, and permanently. Find us in Federal Way or Auburn or at sternsinus.com. That's sternsinus.com.
Attention contractors, builders, and heavy equipment operators. It's a monster 3-day heavy equipment, trucks, and much more auction at the James G. Murphy Auction Company in Marysville underway now. Equipment like a 2021 Weiler B458 Feller Buncher, 16 excavators, 8 dozers, a 2018 Komatsu WA270-8 wheel loader, and a 2021 John Deere 310 SL backhoe. There's 4 Vector trucks, 11 dump trucks, 9 skid steer loaders, 11 boom lifts, and much more. Need a recreational vehicle or a weekend funmobile? There's a 1978 Toyota FJ40 Land Cruiser, a 2022 Polaris Pro snowmobile, 6 new dirt bikes, and a 2014 Nissan GTR world-class supercar. Preview of all items is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Wednesday the 12th at the corner of 136th and State Street in Marysville. Check MurphyAuction.com for pictures and all details. That's MurphyAuction.com.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
When it comes to painting, it can be messy and time-consuming if you do it yourself. Do what I did and call the pros at your neighborhood CertaPro Painters. Ursula Roytine here. The team at CertaPro Painters is a team you can trust. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here in Western Washington. Schedule your free estimate online today at CertaPro.com. When choosing a painting professional, the choice is simple. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro.com.
We are Seattle Sports.
Tyler Locklear with his first base hit, first RBI. The Mariners have a 2-1 lead.
The home of the Mariners.
Matt Coker here with West Coast Men's Health. In the past 5 years, we've seen thousands of men at our clinics. Most guys tell us the same story, that in their early 50s, it's not that they couldn't function, they just needed help. They started taking Viagra, and it worked great at first. But after a few years, it stopped working. The problem is that their arteries had become more restricted since they started taking it, because Viagra does not unclog arteries. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we use acoustic wave therapy to target the real problem. We break down plaque and clear up the arteries so blood can flow like it did in your 20s. This restores function. And guys, listen to this. You won't have to take a pill anymore. So if this sounds like you, give West Coast Men's Health a call today and see how we can help.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
You are listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Do you know when you do one healthy thing and then walk around feeling better than everyone?
No, I don't.
That's how I feel today.
That's how I feel after I finish my Stanley.
Exactly.
Just like, I'm so refreshed.
you have like a glass of water first thing in the morning and you're like, I'm just better than you. Like, I'm just better than everyone else. That's how I feel with this latte. I went almond milk today, and I'm walking around like, no, don't mind me. I just have an almond milk latte.
Almond milk.
Almond milk. No syrups in this one. No syrups in this one, buddy. Just almond milk and coffee. That's me being healthy. Or it's like if you work out one time, and you're like, me, I'm just a gym rat.
Start posting motivational quotes and stuff.
All right, you guys, we are going to stick with the Mariners for a while here. We're going to talk about the Mariners' biggest need. I know maybe especially after the series, certainly after injuries, it's fair to wonder whether or not the bullpen is an area or should be an area of focus for this team. And I don't think you'd be wrong in saying so. But it certainly still feels like a bat is the biggest need for this team, Bump, and that was only emphasized with Ty France out at first, regardless of whether or not they have Tyler Locklear. Tyler Locklear is a rookie. Tyler Locklear has not been here. You need a bat.
He's a rook. I hate depending on rookies. You should never depend on rookies either.
Rookies.
Rookies are seen, not heard. Keep your head down. You show up to work every day, and you just work hard. No, you need a bat. But I'm looking at the bullpen too, and I see and feel the concerns there. But I feel like the group that's assembled right now in that pen is more likely to do their job consistently than the guys who are in the batter's box every day and have the responsibility of trying to produce runs. That's why I look at the trade deadline, this whole situation, and say, yeah, I'm still leaning towards the bat, but I understand their concerns when it comes to the bullpen. I'm looking at the clip from Schusterman that we have in our show sheet.
Oh, yeah, you want me to play it?
I completely agree. That's the one hesitation I have with this whole situation.
Here's what Jordan said.
We have to remember, no matter what we want, they have to nail that decision. They have to nail that. We can say, oh, it should be Luis Robert. Oh, go after this guy, go after this guy, go after this guy. Unfortunately, it's been a very up and down track record of acquiring hitters, as we've seen, whether it's signing, whether it's trading for them. So there's a lot of pressure on them to get that right, because it's not. It doesn't. If not, you could be in a world of hurt because of what the price you're paying from a prospect standpoint.
The only way they could get it right and still get it wrong and me be okay with it is if they go ahead and get one of those names, one of those big names, one of those guys that you feel like have the best odds of producing. You can get it wrong and have everyone just have this sour taste in their mouth if you go on the cheaper side. You go on the, hey, this guy is analytics say that in this ballpark with our schedule on a sunny day when he bats from the left side of the plate, he should be okay. I'm like, no, I don't want that. Just give me the dude who's going to go out there and ball no matter where you are. That's how they can get it wrong, and everyone will trip. If they get it wrong and they go get Vladdy Daddy or Alonso or Christian Walk, whoever is connected to this team when it comes to the bigger names, they go and get those guys and get it wrong, I think people feel differently about it.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good way to say it. And you also kind of have to check yourself, the broader you, when you're like, if I'm complaining and advocating and banging my fist on the table, telling them to do something and then they do it, well, with that might come failure.
Yeah.
And I think in general, when we talked about the trade deadline, last week we did our 2 truths at the trade deadline. One of them was you can't trade trash for treasure. And the other one was sometimes you need to take a big swing and take a risk because context is always important with any trade deadline. And the context around the Mariners is you've never had arms like this before.
Yeah.
Like you've never had a starting rotation like this. Yeah, your bullpen could be healthier. You could use some additions to the bullpen. Maybe you make those, but they should be aggressive here. They should add impact here. And if they do and it doesn't work out, all right. Like, you don't need to make that a lesson learned where you never do it again, but that's also a real possibility, and that's okay. Like, sometimes a trade isn't going to work out.
What is it? It's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all.
That's how I want Jerry and Justin to approach the trade deadline.
Please.
Is knowing that, like, you know what? We tried.
You know, be vulnerable. Put your heart on the line.
Yeah.
You know, express yourself. And if she stumps on your heart, you know what? You're going to learn from that.
Then you learn.
But you still love again. You still go out there and love.
You still go out there and love. Let's talk about who they could fall in love with. John Morosi has a couple names, though says Vlad Guerrero Jr. seems unlikely.
There's not that many places where I would say, go out and you're desperate to make a move. Again, first base, if Pete Alonso is there and available, you probably make that move if it's at the right price. I agree with you that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is probably unlikely, but a Christian Walker with the D-backs, those types of names are going to be out there and available, maybe even Lamont Wade Jr. with the Giants. So that's still the easiest spot to make the upgrade, in my opinion, is somewhere in that first base DH nexus. Maybe a right fielder, depending on Mitch Haniger, but I think in general, I like the way this team is trending, and I still believe their best offensive days are ahead.
Pete Alonso would be a rental. Pete Alonso brings a lot of strikeouts. Pete Alonso also answers an injury question at first base, and Pete Alonso brings slugging, which you have been lacking.
Yeah, you need all that with the risk of him not signing with this team and making this his permanent home for the next few years. But when we look at this ball club and these young arms, you say, is it realistic that they can make a run at a World Series championship if this team gets better, as John Morosi says? He thinks the better offensive days are ahead. And then you add this bat to the potential of this team performing at a higher level offensively. I think anything is possible. I think that it's important to see them trending. And even though that they lost the series this weekend, I saw some things that were encouraging to me to say, okay, they are trending, but you need some help. And I'm all for Pete Alonso. I will love Lottie Dottie. I prefer Vlad Jr. But if you got to go get Pete to support these arms and roll the dice and say, what the heck? The Diamondbacks made it to the World Series last year.
Yep.
I'll take a magical year like the Diamondbacks had and have my heart broken for a few more years after that with a chance to win a World Series championship.
And they did it importantly because of moves made at their trade deadline. Well, I'm going to go get some water because I drink water now. I don't know if you know that. I drink water now. I'm very healthy. When we get back, though, when I get back with my water for my body, we are going to bring on Future Star Series Joe Doyle. We have a lot of questions to ask him about the Mariners. We also got to take a look at some of the young prospects in this farm system, one of the best farm systems in baseball. Once again, who might we be willing to part ways with? What's a big gamble? What might it cost to get some of these big names at the deadline? So much to ask Joe, and he joins us next.
The Dugout. Go in depth with the Mariners.
Leaps up and he makes the catch.
With voices like Ryan Roland Smith, Gary Hill, and Mike Blowers.
Long-term pitching, if you have that foundation, good things are going to happen.
It makes him so valuable when he's hitting.
This team is a team that's going to have to bunch hits together, put pressure on the defense.
Hear from the players and coaches, and go behind the scenes with insider Shannon Dreyer.
They find a way to grind it out, stay in the game. I thought it was a really good win for them.
The Dugout, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. on Seattle Sports.
Two things you're looking at when you're shopping for a new car or SUV: choice and exceptional deals. Visit our friends at Mazda of Everett and you'll be satisfied with both. Which Mazda moves you? Find out at Mazda of Everett. Choose from over 600 new Mazdas in stock, and right now they're offering 0% financing on all new Mazda CX-5s, CX-30s, CX-50s, and CX-90s on approved credit. Need more reasons? They also treat you like family and want you to drive away happy. See for yourself at MazdaofEverett.com.
What do thousands of students that rely on free school lunches do during the summer? It's G. Scott here. Sunbucks is a SNAP program that provides free, healthy food when school is out. If you could use the help, simply fill out the form online to determine eligibility for $120 of free food per child. This message is presented by Safeway, where customers can use SNAP to match their produce purchases as well as shop online. Learn more at hungerfreewashington.org/summer EBT.
Well, this week's First Mark Challenge victory goes to Robert. Robert, why did you call First Mark Insurance?
I heard an ad, and my wife and I had just got our policy renewals from our previous provider, and everything had gone up quite a bit, 30-40%, so I thought I'd give it a try. It was a pleasant experience, very easy. It only took a couple of days to get the good news back.
And were they able to save you money?
Yeah, we were able to save well over $1,000. Not only did we save money, our agent found that we had some gaps in coverage, and they were able to not only save money, but improve our coverage.
Well, now you can be a good friend, and you can tell everybody about it.
Well, I have. I've, in fact, passed it on to a couple of my good friends, and they're taking the challenge as well. So it's been great.
Robert did it. My family did it. Now you got to do it, and it's totally free. Go take the First Mark Challenge today. See how much they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you can be our next First Mark Challenge victory. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com. Firstmarkinsurance.com.
Summer is the time to feel and look your best, but I'm not talking about your abs or tan. Guys, I'm talking about your hair. Restore that bald spot, reverse your receding hairline, or add volume to thinning during Advanced Hair's once yearly summer savings event. Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment begins to regrow your very own hair the very next day, and they guarantee your new hair will grow. They are the team that addressed my hair loss, and I recommend them to everyone. Take advantage of your flexible summer calendar and get the most hair for your dollar. Advanced Hair's summer sales event is on for a limited time. So get the details and schedule your free consultation today. 425-449-8185. One-day treatment, life-changing results. With Advanced Hair, your new hair is guaranteed to grow. Check out the incredible before and afters and make the call now while their summer savings event is still on. That's 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Attention contractors, builders, and heavy equipment operators. It's a monster 3-day heavy equipment, trucks, and much more auction at the James G. Murphy Auction Company in Marysville underway now. Equipment like a 2021 Weiler B458 Feller Buncher, 16 excavators, 8 dozers, a 2018 Komatsu WA270-8 wheel loader, and a 2021 John Deere 310 SL backhoe. There's 4 Vector trucks, 11 dump trucks, 9 skid steer loaders, 11 boom lifts, and much more. Need a recreational vehicle or a weekend funmobile? There's a 1978 Toyota FJ40 Land Cruiser, a 2022 Polaris Pro snowmobile, 6 new dirt bikes, and a 2014 Nissan GTR world-class supercar. Preview of all items is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Wednesday the 12th at the corner of 136th and State Street in Marysville. Check murphyauction.com for pictures and all details. That's murphyauction.com.
Holy smokes, another leadoff home run for J.P. Crawford in back-to-back games.
You're listening to 710 KIRO AM Seattle and KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma, the home of the Mariners. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark doesn't seem too worried about not being included on the women's team for the 2024 Summer Olympics. She told reporters, quote, "I'm excited for them," being the players. "Going to be rooting for them. It'll be fun watching. There's no disappointment. It just gives me something to work for." UConn head coach Dan Hurley is staying put. Per ESPN, breaking just a couple minutes ago, Hurley's turned down the Lakers' 6-year, $70 million offer to become their next head coach. LA reportedly has interest in J.J. Redick, but otherwise continues to search for their next guy.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Plenty to talk about with the Mariners. Joining us now, Future Star Series Joe Doyle on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Guys, it is good to be back, and as always, go Cougs.
Go Cougs!
Wow, you didn't need to start this interview so aggressively,
That's the perfect way
Joe.
to start it. You know this, Stace.
I just think it's a little
You know
aggressive.
how we do it, Mike.
Well, my question first, Joe. I am going to start with your thoughts coming out of this series. Bump and I opened the show by being like, maybe we're being soft, but we saw some offense we liked, so it's hard to complain too much. What'd you think about how the Mariners fared on the road and where this team's at right now?
Yeah, I think the offense is showing some signs of life. I think the most important thing that I took away from the lineup over the last 6 games was Mitch Garver seems to be kind of finding his footing. He looks a little bit more comfortable in the box, and I think the addition of Mitch Garver's production into this offense is going to be paramount for this team to score the amount of runs that they need to be what fans hope will be a World Series contender. But the biggest takeaway, at least for me, is the war of attrition within this bullpen. I mean, Gabe Spires down, Matt Brash is down, Andres Munoz is I guess you could say a fraction of himself right now. And Santos, we haven't seen Santos yet. You kind of hope that you get a little bit of Gregory Santos in 2024, but that can't be totally guaranteed. So finding some arms that can pitch towards the end of the game, not the Austin Voths, not the Colin Snyders, finding a way to get some high leverage guys into this organization is going to have to be a priority in July.
Hey, Joe, obviously when we watch these games, there are things we're looking for, right? Are the arms going to be able to hold it down? Is that offense going to get going? But I was telling Stacy earlier in the show, I love in baseball that you get to see so many debuts. Like, it's just, baseball is unique when it comes to that, where you'll get a guy in game 70 who's making a debut. And we've seen Bliss so far, Locklear obviously as of late, and then Clase as well. When these guys are called up and you get a guy like Bliss who's seems like he's catching a stride, starting to get comfortable, and they're obviously in front of a guy like Franz and Polanco at second and in first. Is there anything they can do to kind of hang around, or should they approach this as, this is my tryout for later? I need a ball right now. They'll send me back down, and hopefully I do enough to hang around.
Mike, if these guys perform, they're going to find a way to keep them in the lineup. I mean, there's enough positional flexibility for. I mean, Ryan Bliss isn't the best example because he is limited to second base, but he can run. He can play a little bit of defense. There is a spot on a major league roster for a guy like Ryan Bliss, especially in the late innings portion of any game. In terms of what this looks like for the future, one thing that's important to consider, Ryan Bliss has 6-7 years of control left. If he continues to hit, Jorge Polanco is not going to be here past the 2025 season. They're going to find a way to get Ryan Bliss into the future lineups for the Seattle Mariners if he proves entirely capable. But yeah, the biggest thing right now is it's a tryout. The tough thing about being in an organization that is a contender is there is generally not a lot of flexibility and movement within those lineups. A lot of times there's veterans stapled in to this competitive window. So you want to try and make an impression. But the biggest thing is there's 30 teams in this league, and if you prove that you're a valuable big leaguer, maybe you get moved into an opportunity where you're going to get full-time playing time. There's a lot of bad teams out there. Where Seattle is about to see 4 games with the Chicago White Sox. I can guarantee you the Chicago White Sox could really use a guy like Ryan Bliss right now as an example.
Hey, this is a great farm system. I know that for a while there it was like, oh, did they deplete it? What's going on? And they've managed to rebuild it. Now one of the best in all of baseball. Is there a name that you're eyeing as a potential trade chip come the deadline?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of a trade chip, I think the guy that really stands out has got to be Ty Pete. Ty Pete was the 30th overall selection in last year's draft, and I think in some ways he's overshadowed a little bit by the Colt Emersons, by the Johnny Farmellos, by the Cole Youngs. But, Ty Pete has been stepping in and playing shortstop in Modesto, and he's been playing a really high-level shortstop nonetheless. I think as you look down the line, as you look at the future infields of the Seattle Mariners with some of those guys that I just mentioned, there is ultimately going to be a guy that's the odd man out. And, Ty Pete's having a good season this year at Modesto. He's hitting for power. He's playing defense up the middle. He's running. I think he could be a guy that moves. And the other guy that I would probably point to for the same type of reasons would be Michael Arroyo, second baseman, tons of hit ability, can play second, can play third, can play shortstop in a pinch. This team just has so many prospects on the middle infield, which is so different than what we're used to. I mean, you have to go back to probably 2014 when it was the Brad Miller and the Dustin Ackley and the Nick Franklin and that cast of characters coming up to find this amount of depth in the Mariners farm system. So I would expect that one of these middle infielders would be on the move in July.
Kind of a related question. Is there a name that you're fingers crossed hoping they don't touch at all?
Yeah, I think the guy that comes up for me more than anything is probably Felnine Celestin. And it's not that I'm connected to him and I think, oh, this guy's going to be a superstar. I do think he's going to be a star. He's extremely talented, but I'm generally pretty averse to the idea of moving someone who is, yet to even debut at full season ball. He's still playing in the Arizona Complex League. He's yet to even put a sample in front of scouts big enough to really determine what sort of a player he's going to be. So I think when you move a player with the amount of tools and traits and athleticism that Felnine Celestin has before he's able to even realize what he can become, you really flirt with disaster, especially if you're moving him for something like, a year and a half of a reliever or for 2 months of Pete Alonso. I know that it wouldn't cost that for Pete Alonso, but those are the types of deals that you make where you get in trouble down the line.
The big elephant in the room when it comes to this offense is Julio Rodriguez, right? I think people look at his contract and they want him to produce more, and I think that's fair, right? He's the highest paid player on the team. Expectations are high with him. But believe it or not, our fans have a tendency to overreact sometimes. And when it comes to Julio, I think there's a lot of overreaction out there. I think there's still time for him to kind of do his thing. But if you were to give them some type of, okay, if you see this or don't see this by this time, now it's time to start tripping on Julio, what would you say?
I mean, I guess beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I like Julio. Yeah, you want to see 35 to 40 homers. You want to see the extra base hits, the big moments, and he's provided a couple of the big moments this year. But at the end of the day, he's hitting, what is he hitting? 270. He's got 5 homers. He's beginning to lift the ball. I mean, I've seen 2 balls hit over the last week that would have been a home run in most other parks, but they were not in Kauffman and they were not in, I believe it was Oakland, a deep fly to center field. So he is turning the corner a bit. He's stealing bases. He's playing elite defense. He's not hitting for the power that you want, but he is making better swing decisions. He is getting on base. You hope that the power comes, but at the end of the day, if this is the version of Julio Rodriguez that the Seattle Mariners and their fans get, and he ultimately ends up hitting 18 to 20 homers instead of 40 homers, he's more of a traditional top of the lineup table setter in 2024. And you got to go out in July and get the bats to put around him to drive him in. And that's the matter of fact right now.
What kind of approach would you personally like to see the Mariners take at the deadline? And it doesn't have to be a specific name, but for instance, more conservative, more aggressive, adding a bat and a bullpen, like kind of spreading the love around. Is there one that you think would best get this team ready in your mind, either for sustained success or a World Series run this season?
Yeah, Stacey, well, let's assume that the offense just doesn't get better. And that's possible. The offense could be a bottom third offense the rest of the way. I think one way that you can remedy that situation is having a lockdown bullpen to go along with one of the best starting rotations in the game, if not the best rotation. So as I was mentioning, they're down 4 guys right now. They need to go out and acquire at least another 8th inning guy, and they probably need to go out and get another 7th inning guy. So I wouldn't be against the idea of going out and being aggressive and trying to get a Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals or a Tanner Scott from the Marlins or a Jimmy Garcia from the Blue Jays. You need to be able to shore up the end of the game if you're not going to be able to score more than 3 or 4 runs against truly competitive teams in October. So that's the first thing that I would do. In terms of philosophy, I wouldn't be in on the Pete Alonso sweepstakes. I have seen too many players come and go at the trade deadline for 2 months of time. You're only getting Pete Alonso for 50 games. And if 30 of those games are an assimilation period to the American League and to T-Mobile Park, what are you really giving up resources for? So the Pete Alonso thing is not something I would go after. I'm generally a fan of the idea of trying to put together a package for a Luis Robert. I know there's a ton of risk with injury, but my counterpoint would be there's going to be injury risk with any player that you acquire, maybe a little bit more with Robert than others. I think the big fish, and unfortunately, payroll is likely going to dictate whether or not this is even a remote possibility. I do think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the perfect fit for not only T-Mobile Park with how hard he hits the ball, but also parts of this roster. I would be surprised, and this may come as a shock to some, maybe not others. I would be surprised if Ty France is a Seattle Mariner in 2025. And so having Vladimir Guerrero, who's probably scheduled to make $25 million in 2025 on the roster, would be a really nice touch to the competitive window for next season as well. So, but the elephant in the room is, as everybody on this station knows, and everybody listening to this station knows, it's hard to say whether or not the ownership group and the front office could stomach a $25 million first baseman even for 1 year.
Which player do you feel like has been the catalyst to this team offensively? Even though we know they've been struggling, they're not a very potent team, but at times they look great, at times they don't. If you have to pick a player to say, all right, man, he has to be the glue for this team to keep going, regardless of who you get. Who has been the glue, I should say?
I think both on the field, off the field, in the clubhouse, in the dugout, I think it has to be J.P. Crawford. There was something missing from the lineup. There was something missing from the dugout when J.P. Crawford was on the shelf. I mean, he provides a spark at the top of the lineup. He provides on base percentage at the top of the lineup. He's provided more power of late. And I just think he is the type of table setter that allows guys like Julio Rodriguez, that allows guys like Josh Rojas, like Cal Raleigh to kind of keep the conga line moving. If you don't remember, when JP was out, Josh Rojas was hotter than a pistol. Well, even still with just him at the top of the lineup, Julio struggled and Garver struggled and Raleigh struggled. I think being able to kind of be the catalyst at the top of the lineup and get some of those run producers moving in the right direction is going to be J.P. Crawford's job, and you hope that he continues kind of his hot ways, because I if I'm not mistaken, over the last 6 games, he hit 308 with 4 or 5 extra base hits. He's really been a spark.
Hey, what did you make of not only the club's decision to bring on an offensive coordinator with Brant Brown, but their subsequent decision to move on from him?
Yeah, I talked to some folks in the organization about that, and I think philosophically speaking, it made a lot of sense. You really can only do so much if you're Jarrett DeHart. You can only coach swings with as much hours in the day as you have. You can only, try and tinker the approach of a team and spend time on scouting reports with the amount of hours that you have in a day. I think where it failed, and this is talking to some different people closer to the situation, is the Mariners organization and the lineup that they're throwing out there. A lot of these guys have been here for a very long time, and the guys that haven't have been used to it a certain way for a long time in another destination, whether that be Garver in Texas or Polanco in Minnesota. Well, when you bring in an offensive philosophy coach, an approach coach, and he brings ideas to the table that are just a little bit more complex than what this organization is used to, well, then all of a sudden you're taking the athlete and their innate feel in the box and kind of piling on with, this is what I want you to do in a 2-1 count. This is what I want you to think in a 1-2 count. This is what you should be aiming and gearing to do with a guy on 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. At certain points, these guys got to Major League Baseball by being athletes, by being innately talented in ways that other people on this planet just are not. So I think being able to kind of eliminate that voice, and from what I've heard, Brant Brown was extremely liked, but it was just kind of too many cooks in the kitchen, and I think it kind of muddied things. So I liked the idea, just the execution of it and the way that it gelled just didn't work.
You got the White Sox series coming up, 4-game series. The last series was a bit disappointing, but again, Stacey and I got some positive out of it. Is there something you need to see during this series with the White Sox? And then what are expectations? I know a mop, as me and Stacey learned last week, is called a 4-game sweep. It's tough to do in baseball, but what are your expectations?
I think my expectations and what Seattle's expectations need to be is to win 3 of 4. And I can't stress this enough. Winning 3 out of 4 games against another major league organization is extremely difficult to do. It doesn't matter that it's the Chicago White Sox. That's 26 guys in the other dugout that are all also major league players. Now, are they 15-47 or whatever their record is? Yeah, but at the end of the day, winning 3 out of 4 is tough to do. It's a lot more difficult to do than winning 2 out of 3. But I think with this opportunity at home, where the Mariners have played very, very well all season, it's got to be an opportunity for you to kind of wipe this team out. Win 3 out of 4. If you can win all 4, that would be tremendous. I mean, it's obviously a huge opportunity for the organization to kind of continue to grow that lead in the AL West. But I think the biggest thing for me watching these next 4 games is to get the rotation back on track. You don't want to see them go through doldrums in June. I mean, this was not a good start in Kansas City for Bryce Miller. It was not a good start for Luis Castillo in Kansas City. George Kirby looked a lot better, but there has been a little bit of a dip with some guys in the rotation over the last 2 starts. So I'd like to see them get back on their momentum ways. And the other thing that I want to point out, because I started off this conversation with this, is I want to see continued improvement from Mitch Garver and from Julio Rodriguez, but specifically Garver. I really do think he's seeing the ball lately pretty well over the last 2 weeks. So have him contributing, driving in runs, maybe hitting some home runs. I think that would be a really nice touch and something that this offense sorely needs.
He is Joe Doyle, senior analyst for Future Star Series. Joe, we had like a million more questions that we don't even have time to ask you, so we'll have to book you again maybe as we inch closer to this trade deadline, take a look at who could be moved, and also hopefully we'll have a bit more insight into some guys like Tyler Locklear and Ryan Bliss by then.
I like it, yeah.
Thanks
Talk
so
to you guys
much.
soon.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, let's get to 4 down territory.
This is 4 down territory, going inside the game. What former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Both you, Bump, and Matthew harassed me for my water.
Yeah, you talking all this stuff. Oh, I'm gonna go drink my water.
Yeah.
You know, the most natural thing I can put in my body, and then you dilute it with something. It's not water anymore.
I added flavor to it.
What color is your water right now?
I would describe it as nuclear.
That's not water. Water's supposed to be clear, Stacey.
First down, Chosen Robinson will be at the Seahawks minicamp on a tryout basis. What have you seen out of him the past few seasons, and whom is he a threat to in the wide receiver room?
The last few seasons, he hasn't done really much, right? He's bounced around a little bit. He was with the Jets for 4 seasons, and then in 2020 he goes to Carolina, has a 1,000-yard season. I think that's when he changed his name to Chosen, actually. And then in 21, he kind of dips a bit. He's a journeyman at this point. He's almost 30, if not 30 years old already. And he is a threat to the guys like Jake Bobo, D. Eskridge, and Derek Young. Here's the thing about Chosen, though. We've seen Derek Young go down on kickoff and punt and tackle people. We've seen Jake Bobo do it. You know, D. Eskridge is a returner. At this point of his career, I don't know if Chosen Robinson is willing or able to go and do those things that these young bulls are going to do to make this ball club. You cannot be the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th receiver on a roster and not play special teams. You don't make the team that way. So I like that they bring him in. Maybe he could teach these young folks some things. But for him to be a big threat, I think he has to do a lot on special teams or just go nuts when it comes to catching the football.
I just realized he goes by Robbie Chosen.
Robbie Chosen. I put Chosen Robinson?
No, but I didn't. I thought the same thing. I thought he changed his first name to
He's gone by multiple.
Okay. No, I thought you were right, but I think this is one variation he's gone through. It's not even with Chosen as a first name. It's Robbie Chosen.
What's his original name?
It's Robbie Anderson.
Robbie Anderson.
But he also does go by Chosen as a first name and then goes by Robbie Chosen.
Hey, pick a name.
Yeah. Or don't. I mean, do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Second down.
Just go by a logo like Princeton.
Just a tree. Jordan Love has some interesting comments on his wide receiver room in Green Bay. Why do you think it helped, and why do you think it hurt?
So what he said was, there is no number 1 receiver here. We're going to spread the football out. And I go, yeah, that sounds good. You look at your receiver room and you go, everybody's going to eat, so get ready to get the football. But I don't know if you know this about receivers, Stacy. They got some egos, and everybody wants to be the number one guy. So if I am Jordan Love, I'm texting whoever on the side and being like, but you're my dude, though. I said this about everybody. We're all going to eat. I think it's good for the offense. You have to spread the ball around. But if I need a play to be made, you are my guy. You have to feed the egos of some of your playmakers, and I think he will do that. It's safe with his comments about spreading the football out and not having a number one receiver. But I also believe that every team needs a number one receiver. You need a guy that you can trust and you can go to. No matter what the coverage is, no matter if he's being locked up, he's going to make a play for you. So good for Jordan. Keeping it real broad, but go ahead and make that text on the side and let whoever know that he's the dude.
Third down. I'm curious about this one. What's an issue that needs to be addressed in the NFL, but you feel won't until players get involved?
It's just the reffing situation. These guys aren't being paid full time. I just read an article and they're talking about how the NFL is doing everything to save money and keep feeding their pockets when it comes to cutting down the NFL network and doing all these other deals on the side, but they're not taking care of the guys who get ridiculed the most. Like these zebras, as much as I'm on their butt, they got a tough job. You're not going to see everything. You're not going to get every call right, but they're also not full-time guys. So if you were able to pay these dudes, make them full-time, have them work on their craft throughout the whole season, I'm not saying they're going to call perfect games, but the chances of them getting more calls right are going to be enhanced. So the NFL is it's a tricky business, man. You got Roger Goodell making, $30-40 million a year. You cut down the NFL network, but you're not willing to pay the referees full-time. It's going to hurt the product. I think the NFL is invincible. We're always going to watch the NFL. But if you want to help the situation, goodness gracious, just pay the zebras, make them full-time, and let them get training throughout the whole year.
Hear me out. Maybe Goodell shouldn't be paid as much. Or maybe some of these high-end executives with the NFL, a multi-bajillion-dollar business that has the most watched programs in the country every single year. The thought of them trying to penny pinch anywhere, and I know that's just the nature of business, there's always areas where people try to cut back, is wild. Like, yeah, maybe your salary isn't $30 million so that you can pay some refs. That's a very interesting point.
Pay the zebras.
Yeah, I like that. I never thought I'd hear us say it, but you're right. Fourth down. What will be your focus when we visit Seahawks minicamp this week?
I want to see who the leaders are on this team. I know that Geno's going to be one of the leaders on offense, but I also feel like DK is entering a place in his career where he can be vocal if he wanted to. I think Tyler Lockett, with this new offense, should step up and be a bit more vocal. I want to see how JSN is settling in. But on defense is where the real questions are. Who is your leader on defense? You got Leonard Williams, the defensive lineman, of course. You got Jay Reed, who's going to be there. But other than that, you don't have guys who have been here, who have established themselves as the leaders. We hear about all the talking that went on during the minicamp, the voluntary minicamp, and how guys are buying into the message. But at some point, you start to separate yourselves. You got your role players, you got your ballers, and you got your leaders. So I just want to see body language, who's more vocal, who's out there leading the charge. On offense, I have an idea what it could and should be. On defense is where I have the questions.
You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. A tight end announces his retirement from the NFL. Coming up next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
All the rankings out there love so many of these prospects. Is there one on Shannon's do not trade list?
At this point and where they're at, my head is very much saying absolutely not. I mean, you got to go for it right now. And with the state of the farm system and what they have in the farm system, and they have, more than enough pieces to trade, I think that, this might be one of the ones where you have to make some of the hard choices. And it's got to be for the right player. It can't be for a question mark.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Can't fix everything for everybody, but you can be there and listen and try to help with what you can. You're there to support them, and that's the best that you can do.
It's this commitment, this philosophy that represents the LJ way.
This is my life. This is my family's life. The people that work here, they're my family. When something's not right with them, it's not right with us. My wife and 3 kids in the house, there's always something wrong with somebody at all times. And if there isn't, then something's wrong. When you have 388 employees, there's never a day that everything is good everywhere. You have to be okay with that. You have to look at that as opportunities to gain a better relationship with people and help them through what they're going through.
The LJ way is The Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Your home is your most valuable asset. If you are sick, you go to a doctor. And when something is wrong with your home, you call an expert. Did you know over time, sidewalks and driveways can sink and crack, causing trip hazards or worse? Matt Vey Foundation Repair is the industry leader in concrete repairs. Their foam injection process corrects concrete problems in a matter of minutes. And their Pentec concrete floor coatings will add durability and style to most concrete surfaces. Call now for a free estimate. Also ask about payment options and financing. Matt Vey Foundation Repair. Go mattvey.com. Rock built, rock solid.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Progressive presents good news, bad news, dumb news, then great news. Good news. While leaning over the fence, your neighbors said you could save money bundling home and auto insurance with Progressive. Bad news. Your neighbor leaned over a little too much and broke your fence. Dumb news. Somehow fence wood is more expensive than wood. Great news. You decide to see if you could save money bundling at Progressive.com and to plant really tall shrubs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Let's face it, nothing makes you look older than you really are than thinning hair. But what if you could not only increase your hair count, but promote new hair growth without surgery, without drugs with potential side effects, and without a prescription from your doctor? Well, now you can, thanks to a breakthrough new supplement called Hair Grow, provided by New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Europe. Hair Grow is now available in the U.S. Only Hair Grow contains Tocogaya, a powerful antioxidant that has received a U.S. patent. Multiple clinical studies show Hair Grow is safe and effective in promoting new hair growth. In one study, 95% of the patients using Hair Grow saw increased hair count. Don't lose more time and more hair. Try Hair Grow today to feel and look your best. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS. Look younger and feel more confident with Hair Grow by New Nordic at NewNordicUSA.com or in stores at your local CVS.
The noon hour of the Bump and Stacy Show is powered every day by the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Go to PendergastLaw.com.
Matt Coker here from West Coast Men's Health. Guys, if you're taking Viagra or any other pill for ED, I want you to ask yourself this question. Do I want to continue to do this for the rest of my life? If you're like most men, the answer is no. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we can restore blood flow naturally without pumping your body full of chemicals like you've been doing. Guys, you need to come in today and fix this problem now. Why are you putting this off? Viagra's not going to magically start working next week, and you don't want to use shots or go under the knife. Call us today and speak with our clinic manager. Ask him any question you like, how it works, the science behind it, and even the cost. Change your life today like the thousands of men who already have. If you're tired of dealing with ED or Peyronie's disease, then call West Coast Men's Health.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
When choosing a painting professional, the choice is simple. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters. Hi, this is Ursula Royteen. CertaPro Painters did such a beautiful job on our home. In fact, we were so happy with their excellent workmanship and great communication, we hired them for another project. And once again, we were thrilled with the outcome. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here in Western Washington. Schedule your free estimate today at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, CertaPro.com.
This is Chris Davis with the Davis Law Group. Did you know that a pedestrian does not have to be crossing the street on a marked crosswalk to have a successful legal claim against the driver? Pedestrians can even be partially at fault for a collision and still have a valuable claim. Call us today for a free consultation or get my free book on pedestrian accident law at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com. That's Davis Law Group, better service and even better results.
This is The Timeline
with Bump and Stacy.
Brought to you by 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
You ever meet someone whose name is just way older than they are?
Yeah.
That's how I was just telling Bump, like literally as we were putting our headphones in to come into the segment, that I'm watching the new season of Love Island. And there's a contestant who's in her 20s. All the contestants are in their 20s. And her name is Patsy. And there's nothing wrong with the name Patsy at all. It's just a name. I've never met anyone born after the year 2000 named Patsy in my entire life. I meet few people born after the year 2000. I don't hang out with them. I keep my distance.
I trained a kid. His name's Gary.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
A kid named Gary?
Kid named Gary. I'm like, what are you, 42?
Right? What business do you have being named Gary and you were born in like 2010?
It reminds me of all the great Seahawks of the Legion of Boom era. They all had older names.
Earl.
They
Richard
did.
Sherman. Earl.
Richard.
Cliff Averill. Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
They're all old men. It was like
And it's
senior
so weird.
citizens.
Granted, all of them were born in the late 80s.
Yeah.
But still, it's very weird. I mean,
I
I don't
met
even meet other Stacys because it was more posh. It
I
was
met a
never
baby
posh,
one
but it was
time-
more popular like a decade prior.
I met a baby one time named Clint. It
See,
was
like,
weird.
That's stupid.
Didn't make any sense. You
It's
can't
not
hold a baby
stupid.
named Clint.
I shouldn't say that. It's not stupid. It's
Can't
just
hold him.
Here's the
It's illegal.
here's the delicate balancing
That's a
act.
man right there.
I would imagine you have to do as a parent. You have to simultaneously not make your kid like Benjamin Button, like 80 years old with their name, but also give them a name that would work if they became the CEO of a Fortune 500. You know,
Yeah.
so their name can't be like Raxleden. It's, I don't know, some kind of millennial like 4 Ys kind of name. Like you got to walk a very delicate balancing act.
Good luck.
You know,
Good luck.
that's tough. It's tough. I'm just gonna give my kid a blank birth certificate.
Say, you fill it out when you're ready.
You write what you think is fair. All right. So let's see. What are we even doing here? I'll tell you what we're doing. I'm doing a great job with this. It is the timeline. Thank you. We're going to start with the Lakers still searching for their head coach, Matt and Curtis. Just so disappointed. Per ESPN's Woj, Dan Hurley's turned down the Lakers' 6-year, $70 million job offer. He'll return to UConn for a chance at a three-peat, which is very, very cool. College basketball hasn't had a three-peat champion since UCLA, of course, won 7 straight from 67 to 73. I am surprised, though, because I fully expected Dan Hurley to be leaving the Huskies to take this job.
Yeah, me too. When he won the national championship, he mentioned his wife, and the wife he mentioned, look, don't come after my husband. He ain't leaving. We are in Connecticut. I believe he's from Jersey, so family is around there. But when you get an opportunity to coach a team like the Lakers, and I'm not just saying it because that's my squad, I'm saying because they're one of the biggest franchises in the world. You get an opportunity to go to the West Coast, maybe change your lifestyle a little bit. I thought he was going to take this job, but I respect him for turning it down as well. I respect that he wants to go back to UConn and try to do some things that have never been done before or haven't been done since the 60s, like you just mentioned. And that lets me know that he's not afraid of recruiting or the portal. And if you look at an NBA season, it's a grind, man. 80-something games. You're on the road constantly. Granted, you are on the road during the offseason with college because of recruiting, but it's probably a bit different. So I'm going to look at him declining to coach for the Lakers. One, it could be I don't want to deal with the limelight over there in L.A. The grind might be a bit too much, but I'm happy. I'm in the Northeast. My wife's family is from here. She's happy. Happy wife, happy life. I ain't mad at you. That just means that we might have to settle for JJ, a guy who's never coached in the league before.
You know what? Mike McDonald's never coached as a head coach in the league, and we're all very excited
But
about
JJ,
him.
he ain't coached in the league at all, though.
Yeah, okay.
JJ
well,
ain't picked up a clipboard.
but he has a very important friend.
He does. He does. What do you call that?
And he
We got
played.
nepos for the kids. Is there like a
Nepo
term?
baby. Yeah, that's tough. So Nepo baby would obviously be that your parents gave you some kind of very easy access to an industry in which you found yourself. Man, that's tough.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, I think it's just networking.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's just networking is what it is
My
at that
LinkedIn
point.
is popping. That's what it is.
Next up, Darren Waller is officially retiring from the NFL to the surprise of no one. I'm not going to play the song.
Thank you.
It's hard to love.
Okay, I'm done. I'm not
It's
gonna
hard
play
to
it.
love.
It's hard to love.
It's
Okay.
hard to love.
I'm not going to play it anymore.
Especially with these like
Takes
dating
time
apps
to
and
heal.
stuff. I can imagine.
It's hard to
With
get
these
free.
dating apps.
These filters.
Wait.
It's hard to give out of your soul. Have your heart broken in return, but
Whoa.
take your
Time to heal. we make a cut that just starts with "Take Your Time to Heal," Matt, I wouldn't need to play it for 26 seconds to get to that.
I mean, yeah, but the buildup is also a great part of
I like
song.
the oh.
Hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
Post Malone singing the same lyrics on that track, it might be fire. That feels like Post Malone could kill that track.
Wow. I don't think you're
He's like
wrong.
a country singer now.
I don't think you're wrong.
Right?
I think you're absolutely right. I think Post Malone with this exact same everything. The exact same everything. Take your time to heal.
So maybe Darren just needs to be a ghostwriter instead of the artist. Maybe
Darren
he's on to
needs a
something.
better voice. First of all, he's using too much auto-tune. Secondly, he doesn't have a good voice.
Yeah.
Something I also
Be a
deal with.
ghostwriter.
Exactly.
Write music.
That's it. Give him the lyrics.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a great point because I would it's a very emotional, vulnerable song. The lyrics are simple enough to just take your time to heal.
Telling you. He might be the most talented NFL player we've ever seen.
Yeah. Anyways, the actual news is that he's retiring.
And, he's leaving $35 million on the table. $35 million he was going to be owed over the next few years. And he's out of there. So that tells me that football isn't as important to him as it once was. He really might be going through some stuff because sometimes guys just do what they have to do for the next few years, get through that contract, get that money and dip. But he's willing to step away from it. I wonder if that means we're going to get more tracks from our guy, Darren Waller.
I have no doubt in my mind we will get minimum one more song from Darren within the next 6 months. Calling it now.
Okay. I believe it.
Next 6 months, and I hope it's a Christmas album. Next up, the Angels won on a walk-off home run that popped out of the Astros' glove.
And he drives one out toward left field, moving back for it. Here's Cabbage out near the wall, and Cabbage caught it! No, he didn't! It's gone! It's a home run! Oh, Hoppy hit it out! The game is over! It's a home run! The Angels win on a walk-off. Cabbage thought he had it, but it fell out of his glove, and the Angels win it 9-7.
Trey Cabbage. Poor Trey Cabbage.
Man.
I mean, I'll never feel bad for the Astros, but that is a bummer way to lose a game.
It is. And I forgot who hit the bomb, but it was almost an out because he might have passed the runner that was in front of him, but they paused at first base to make sure things were legal. Did you see the kid who potentially caught that thing? Security were around him so quickly. I'm like, calm down. Like, don't intimidate this young man. Like, look at the replay before you start jumping on the kid. I don't know if they necessarily did, but from what I saw, security was there quick to make sure that he didn't interfere. But that's heartbreaking right there.
It would have been a really cool catch, too, which is a bummer because he made I would say 74% of the catch. Like, he really had it. And then the worst part is he still thinks he has it, Trey does. So he turns and he looks into his glove. And then only upon looking into his glove is he like, wait, what?
I don't have it.
God. And then you see him, yeah. It's the worst.
Heartbreak.
Just heartbreaking.
Don't feel too bad for you, though.
Yeah, not too bad. You're listening to Bump. I was going to keep going with all kinds of responses about old people names on the Mac and Jack's text line, but I decided to move on. Someone did say he worked with a Hank, who was born in 2005. Hank is kind of in between, though.
No, it ain't.
Hank is kind of like, I've met dogs named Hank. I think Hank is a very common name.
For a dog. Not for a human being. When's the last time you met a guy named Hank?
Okay, most of them are probably Vietnam War veterans, but however, or mechanics. Maybe there's a Hank somewhere who's someone's
Hank got
grandpa.
dirty hands at all times. He's greasy.
I mean, somewhere is a Hank who was born in 2005, which makes him
wild.
Only 10. Right?
That'd be 19.
Right? I was kidding. You're listening to Bump and Stacey on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. One MLB insider's hearing the Mariners may be more aggressive than ever at this year's trade deadline, and he has a name that fits. That's next.
Get the national perspective on the Mariners.
Swing and a miss and a slider, strike three.
With Jeff Passan, Tuesday mornings at 8:30.
The Mariners have arguably the best pitching staff in baseball. I think I'm probably taking the Mariners at the end of the day over every team in the American League right now.
And John Morosi, Thursdays at 5 p.m.
This is the team to beat in the division. And it's not just a hot take. That's what the numbers say, that they're the team to beat in the division.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
It's Cookies Country Chicken pregame fry time reminder. Headed to the ball game? Come on down to Cookies in Pioneer Square for some real good chicken and tell them,
make it spicy.
Fresh fried chicken at Cookies. CookiesCountryChicken.com.
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
If you've been in an auto accident, you have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
Hey, don't miss the Harnish Auto Family Road Trip Sales event going on now. Test drive any vehicle and enter for your chance to win a $500 road trip package. Go to harnishautofamily.com to find a dealership near you. Harnish Auto Family. People matter. See dealership for details.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, from Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Dr. Wagner is hosting a free stem cell webinar this Tuesday night at 6 to explain how stem cell therapy works.
I'm really looking forward to this live webinar to educate on how using your own stem cells can be an extremely successful method to help regenerate native tissue in rotator cuffs, meniscus tears, and reduce pain in osteoarthritic joints.
And which joints have you seen good success with?
Shoulders, elbows, hips, knees, even wrists and ankles. And in this live webinar, we'll tell you all about the procedure, how simple and safe it is using your own stem cells, and how we determine if you're a candidate.
Dr. Wagner has performed over 20,000 stem cell procedures. Are you in pain? Join him this Tuesday night at 6 for the free stem cell webinar and learn all about this amazing procedure. Register now at drmarkwagnermd.com. That's drmarkwagnermd.com.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
We are Seattle Sports.
Ringing the bell, Cal Raleigh, a two-run single. And the Mariners' lead is now 6-3.
The home of the Mariners.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here, and summer in Western Washington, it means trips to the beach, summer barbecues, golfing, that vacation maybe you've been looking forward to. When you take pictures this summer, don't you want to look and feel your best? Well, Eastside Weight Loss Clinic can help, and trust me, you can do it fast. I lost 15 pounds in the first 2 weeks. I lost 35 pounds overall after 8 weeks. There is time. What are you waiting for? Schedule a 15-minute, no-obligation consultation right now at eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Here's what to expect. Safe, healthy, sustainable weight loss. No exercise, no pills, no injections or surgery. Eat real food, lose weight, look and feel your very best. That feeling is just on the other end of your 15-minute consultation. What's the secret? Call Eastside Weight Loss Clinic and they'll tell you. 425-588-0080 is the phone number, or go to eastsideweightlossclinic.com. It worked for me, and I promise if you do it, it can work for you as well. eastsideweightlossclinic.com or 425-588-0080.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Well, we were all hoping for good news from the feds, but without any rate cut in sight, Americans are still paying crazy high rates on credit cards and other loans. Don't wait for things to get worse. If you're struggling, act now. Hey, this is Brock Ewart for my friends at Tila Mortgage. Contact Tila for information on their home equity line of credit, or HELOC. With a HELOC, you can consolidate high-interest bills into one lower, manageable payment while keeping your current low fixed-rate first mortgage. Tila's been helping Washingtonians consolidate debts for over 25 years, and they're experts at purchase and reverse mortgages, too. Take control of your finances and improve your monthly cash flow. Don't let debt payments control your life. Call Tila Mortgage today at 206-766-8888. That's 206-766-8888 or
Tila Mortgage LLC is a mortgage broker. NMLS 2472046.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
One MLB insider is hearing the Mariners may be very aggressive at the trade deadline, and he has a name that fits. This is the latest from USA Today's Bob Nightingale. It's at the very end of his recent column, so just kind of one of the little add-ins he has there, so it's quick. He says, "This is the year," rival executives say, "that the Seattle Mariners make their boldest move at the trade deadline and acquire offensive help, knowing they have a legitimate chance for the World Series with their star-studded rotation. Their most aggressive move in recent years was acquiring ace Luis Castillo from the Cincinnati Reds at the 2022 trade deadline, going 35-24 the rest of the season and ending their 21-year playoff drought. Mets first baseman Pete Alonso may be the perfect fit." So he's saying two things here, Bump, and I want to focus on the two of them separately because both are interesting to me. The second that I want to hold off for just a second is that he thinks Pete Alonso is a perfect fit for them. The first is more interesting to me, which is he's hearing from rival executives that the Mariners may make their boldest move at the trade deadline yet, that we may not see a Mariners team that's, we're kind of buyers and sellers. You know, we like to add and subtract, and, you know, we just like to sustain. That we may see a fairly aggressive Mariners team. I'll believe it when I see it, but it's very interesting.
So if he's hearing that, that means that the Mariners are reaching out, and they're probably reaching out and asking for more than they're willing to give up, right? They're probably going out there and said, all right, or not even asking for more what they're willing to give up, just inquiring about certain players. What do you need for him? What do you need for that guy? What do you need for this guy? Which is a good sign. Talk is cheap, but every deal starts with talk. So you go out there, test the waters, dip that toe in there, see if it's warm enough, see if it's to your liking, and possibly make a move. So that's good. Even if sometimes rumors are good. Sometimes you like to hear some rumors, man, because it means that there's a possibility that your team are willing to trade or willing to work out a deal. And I think that's all that we're asking. Be willing to do it. If it works out, it doesn't work out, but at least try.
The number one thing that I see on the Mac and Jack's text line, and probably the thing that comes to your mind, listener, if you're one of these people, when Bump and I talk about John Stanton saying he's going to give support to Jerry and Justin at the deadline, or when we talk about Luis Robert or Vlad Guerrero Jr. or any of these other big names at the deadline, is I'll believe it when I see it. It's intentionally why I said it at the beginning of this segment, because Bump, you and I see this so often when we talk about the Mariners making a move, is people going, this just isn't a club that does that. It's not a club that spends a ton of money on people. I know they gave Julio a big contract, but they're not a club that typically shells out a ton of money, not a club that typically has a huge payroll, and they're not a club that makes really, really, really aggressive moves at the deadline. We've seen them do it. Luis Castillo, the one mentioned here, and that was a very aggressive move. You gave up potential superstars to bring in a current star, and it's worked out for you just fine. It's worked out great. But this is otherwise not a club that's done that. So I completely understand the doubt people have.
Yeah, I understand it. You have to go off of what teams, people, organizations show you to make an educated guess on what you think they're going to do. And everything tells us that this isn't going to happen. Like I mentioned before, I just want a seat at the table, and I want negotiations to go down. If you can't meet in the middle somewhere, then so be it. You have to move on. I'm also looking at Pete Alonso, and he strikes out this year at least. He's got a 20% K rate. That would be one of the better K rates on our team right now. I believe, last I checked, I'm not sure, but I believe Julio,
you're right.
Julio was in the high
like
20s. I think at one point Julio was in the 30s. You know, like, so, yeah, he's going to strike out a bit, but I think the reward has the potential to be great. He's got a 129 WRC plus. It's what league average is 100. I'm looking at this, the positive you can get from this dude, and say, all right, if he performs the way we think he can perform, he's going to help the team. The scary part is just if he's going to want to stay here.
Yeah.
And I think that's what deters people the most, and I understand that. But that article also mentions that people believe this is a World Series type of team. There were times at the beginning of the year where we didn't think that. We're like, we got to see more. We have to see more. I think it's safe to say at this time of the year, with the pitching that we've seen, even with the struggles from the bullpen at times, even though Miller had his worst outing since last year against the Yankees and still had his worst of the year, you still feel like this pitching staff is going to take care of the offense, and the offense takes care of them. So, yeah, I'm all in for Pete. I prefer Vladdy Dottie. You don't get Vladdy Dottie, go ahead and get Pete. Roll the dice. Hopefully he likes Seattle. We make him feel nice and fuzzy inside, and he wants to stay here.
What's it mean to be bold at the deadline for the Mariners? And I'm guessing you want to see them do that.
Yeah, it means that they see what we see, or what other experts see in this team, which is an opportunity. Like, this is what, in the last, 20 years, no one ever talks about the Mariners as a potential World Series contender, or they haven't been leading the conference, the division at this point of the year since 2003. You're seeing things and hearing things from experts. Nothing is guaranteed that you just haven't seen and heard in such a long time. So if they get to this deadline and they are aggressive, that means they're thinking, yeah, it's time to go, boys. This is the moment we've been waiting for. Let's go get it.
I think it also means the message sent to fans is that they are, I don't want to say unhappy, but I'll use the word unhappy with where they currently are. The message that's been sent to fans in more tepid deadlines from the Mariners, trading Paul Sewald and then bringing in Rojas and Canzone, is, hey, we think we're good. We just need to move the chairs around a bit. You know what I mean? Like, we need to add a bat, and we're dealing from a position of strength. The message I want sent is, we love our arms. Our bats aren't good enough, and we know they can be, so we're adding to them. Yeah. I don't want to see like a shuffling. I don't want to see a moving of chairs. I don't want to see just kind of like a balancing act to keep things status quo. I would love to see something that feels like a step up, that feels like a true addition, that makes them feel like true buyers and not just this kind of like hybrid role. And I know that that's tricky with teams being as competitive as they are late in the season with the current deadline, with the expanded playoffs. I get it. You have fewer trade partners and it's harder to acquire an impact bat. But I think what people get frustrated with is this feeling of like shuffling stuff around. Yeah.
You reminded me of when my wife and I bought our current home. We put our old furniture in there and we're like, oh, this is cute. Looks good. But man, that's that old house furniture. So when you said shuffling the chairs around, I just imagine my wife and I.
Like a true upgrade.
Standing in our living room like, let's just go and buy the expensive, light-colored couch in hopes that our kids aren't going to dirty that thing up. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm with you 100% with that. You go ahead and get you some new stuff. Don't shuffle the lineup around. Don't bring too many guys up. I heard someone say, I want to see what Locklear, how he turns out. Forget all that noise. We're going to depend on the rookie when you're 60-something games in. No. At this point of the year, if you really believe you can win a championship, you go ahead and you get yourself a bat, even if it is a loaner, man. But I do believe that it's a chance that he might just like it here.
Thinking of kind of the sentiment that we talked about with general manager Justin Hollander, it sure seemed like he had a little more faith in the average person that the Astros would step up and the Rangers would step up. And that was reassuring to me.
Yeah.
Right? I want to think the general manager does not feel comfortable.
Yeah. He shouldn't feel
looking over his shoulder.
And that's the messed up part if he does feel comfortable. He's like, I'm at that 54%, dog. We said 54.
What do you want, 55? What am I made of money?
We are winning the division right now. Like, what else do these people want? No, don't feel comfy. You strive for greatness. And greatness can be scary sometimes because you're going to have to make decisions that are tough and that people might not understand. Yeah. So say they don't get Vladdy, say they don't get Pete, and they go get somebody else. That's going to be a tough decision for them because we're not going to understand it. We're going to sit here and say, why aren't you doing more?
A lot of really cool insight from Albert Breer's recent column that looks behind the scenes into the hiring of Mike McDonald. Don't go anywhere.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Brian Wu, man, he's looked good. When's it going to stop? Hopefully never.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
In Mariners history, lowest ERA over the first 6 starts of a season, 1.07. I always think about our little game that we play. Who should be the ace? Look at the numbers right now. If this continues, I don't know how many he would have to stack up here. Would it be 8 or 9 or 10 when you go, this guy's the ace? It's unbelievable.
Don't miss an hour of the show. Find the podcast at seattlesports.com.
Everyone always asks me, what were your top reasons for choosing Advanced Hair? Well, allow me to share, along with some details, on, get this, their once-a-year summer savings event. Okay, first off, Advanced Hair stands by the results, and I'm living proof those results are second to none. With Advanced Hair, your own natural hair is guaranteed to grow. Secondly, Advanced Hair combines top-rated physicians with modern technology, creating a concierge quality experience that blew away my expectations. And lastly, Advanced Hair's Advanced FUE begins regrowing your own natural hair the very next day. It is quick, simple, and easy. Now, if you have a flexible schedule this summer and you've been waiting for that special savings opportunity, well, it's here. Advanced Hair's Summer Savings Event will get you the most hair for your dollar. It's their best offer ever. For details to schedule your free consultation, call 425-449-8185. One-day treatment, life-changing results. Your new hair is guaranteed to grow. Before and after pictures at advancedhair.com.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Attention contractors, builders, and heavy equipment operators. It's a monster 3-day heavy equipment, trucks, and much more auction at the James G. Murphy Auction Company in Marysville, underway now. Equipment like a 2021 Weiler B458 Feller Buncher, 16 excavators, 8 dozers, a 2018 Komatsu WA270-8 wheel loader, and a 2021 John Deere 310 SL backhoe. There's 4 Vector trucks, 11 dump trucks, 9 skid steer loaders, 11 boom lifts, and much more. Need a recreational vehicle or a weekend funmobile? There's a 1978 Toyota FJ40 Land Cruiser, a 2022 Polaris Pro snowmobile, 6 new dirt bikes, and a 2014 Nissan GTR world-class supercar. Preview of all items is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Wednesday the 12th at the corner of 136th and State Street in Marysville. Check murphyauction.com for pictures and all details. That's murphyauction.com.
Hey everybody, Bob Stelton here. I recently met with Anthony, the owner of Asset Roofing, to talk about a metal roof which can last twice as long as ordinary shingles. Asset Roofing is seeing a huge push in the market for metal roofing. They create each metal roof at their headquarters, custom to each job, and that allows them to offer metal roofs with up to a 30% discount over their competitors. Check them out at assetroofingco.com.
Certified work is never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
Gene Johnson, how can I help you?
I just flipped the AC on and it went clunk.
We're on it.
Gene Johnson, plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical. We're on it.
Febreze. So my home is also my office, and before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
We all know what UV rays can do to our skin, but they can also do damage to your car. Keep that from happening with 303 Protectant. 303 Protectant keeps the sun's harmful rays from causing fading and cracking in rubber, plastic, or vinyl surfaces. From the dashboard to the tires, 303 Protectant keeps your car looking new longer. Get 303 Protectant today at Advance Auto Parts. Visit 303radio.com for more information.
Can't fix everything for everybody, but you can be there and listen and try to help with what you can. You're there to support them, and that's the best that you can do.
It's this commitment, this philosophy that represents the LJ way.
This is my life. This is my family's life. The people that work here, they're my family. When something's not right with them, it's not right with us. My wife and 3 kids in the house, there's always something wrong with somebody at all times. And if there isn't, then something's wrong. When you have 388 employees, there's never a day that everything is good everywhere. You have to be okay with that. You have to look at that as opportunities to gain a better relationship with people and help them through what they're going through.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Holy smokes!
It's another leadoff home run for J.P. Crawford in back-to-back games.
You're listening to 710 KIRO AM Seattle and KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma, the home of the Mariners. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Caitlin Clark doesn't seem too worried about not being included in the women's team for the 2024 Summer Olympics. She told reporters, I'm excited for them being the players, of course. It's going to be fun rooting for them, watching them. There's no disappointment. It just gives me something to work for. UConn head coach Dan Hurley is staying put. Per ESPN, Hurley's turned down the Lakers' 6-year, $70 million offer to become their next head coach. LA reportedly has interest in J.J. Redick, but otherwise continues the search for their next guy.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This is Bump and Stacy
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Albert Breer for Sports Illustrated has a new, very in-depth, it's a long read, behind-the-scenes look at the hiring of Mike McDonald in Seattle. I just picked out a few little nuggets, Bump, for us to be able to talk about, and then we're going to kind of expand this conversation into what we think about what Mike McDonald can do this year in 2024, whether or not we learned anything new from this article. So I'm going to start with just a little note about the thing that Albert had as standing out most for John Schneider. He spoke with John Schneider for this column. And that was that it was easy. He used the word easy a ton, that this was a very natural marriage between two people in terms of this. He talked about John Schneider going to Baltimore. They were going to interview Mike McDonald at a nearby hotel, like in a little conference thing. And so John Schneider stops at a Starbucks and texts Mike McDonald and says, yo, you want a coffee? And then Mike McDonald says, yeah, just this is a very casual, kind of comfortable, friendly thing. Like right away, they're already clicking. And then he doesn't respond. He just pops into the Starbucks behind him and like surprises him. So already there's a very natural chemistry between these two. The interview goes really well, but I think that one thing that you and I can at least attest to, as can any reporters and fans who are watching these press conferences early, is that both John Schneider and Mike McDonald seem to have a really good rapport, a really natural relationship. That's hard to do.
It is. It doesn't feel awkward. It doesn't feel like they are forced in this thing. I've been around John and Mike McDonald at the same time like 2 or 3 times, and they legit seem like they like each other and that they're boys. Now, relationships change a bit after you win some games, you lose some games. You're faced with some adversity. You have to have tougher conversations, but you build a foundation for these conversations during this time of the year when you're getting to know somebody. You're learning to trust them and learn the way that they think and respond to things. Therefore, when you get into these situations, you can attack, and you're going to be candid when you're in these situations, but you also know, all right, here's a line I can't cross. Here's an approach that I think he would understand. Here's the tone that I have to use. I talk to my wife differently than I talk to my kids or my mom when there's conflict because every relationship is different. So I think it's important that, from what I've seen so far, that they are comfortable with each other and it's real. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel fake.
One of the things that I'm most interested in, not only because he's a new head coach and you wonder this, but specifically with this defense, is what happens if they start slow? What happens if this defense struggles and there's all this weight and expectation on you're going to come in and save it, and then they don't start that way? Well, that's kind of how his tenure started in Baltimore. In the interview, Mike McDonald talks about it, and he says Miami scored like 1,000 points in the fourth quarter, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's not good. So it makes you look at yourself, and you say, clearly, I'm not getting our guys ready to play and win at the level we need to. So went to the players and said, we all agree it's not going to get it done. Like, this performance is not going to get it done. It starts with me. It starts with the coaches. We've got to evaluate everything. Players, too. We're all looking inward. Let's go to work. What became very clear from this interview, and I think is clear in interviewing him, right, Bump? This is a guy who is big on learning, big on coaching. I have no doubt that if they start slow, he's got the resolve to figure it out.
Yeah, because I think he is honest. What is working, what isn't working. And because he has not been in the league for 15, 20 years and has had so much success, it's not that just this is the way it's going to go. It's no, this is the way it's going to go now, and if it doesn't work, I shall adjust. I promise you, if we talk to Mike McDonald 10 years from now and he's had the success that I think he's going to have, there are things that are going to be staples. There are things to where he's going to get in front of the team and say, nah, fellas, y'all not getting it done. This is what we need to do to get it done, because he's had reps in the league. He's played many games. He's won. He's lost. He's done all of that. But right now, because he's such in the beginning stages of his career, I think he's more open to change and suggestions from his coaching staff, which he should be. That's why you got the OG Frazier on this coaching staff. I'm telling you, he is going to be the godfather in the back of the scenes, just dropping nuggets. When Mike McDonald don't even know he's dropping the nuggets, he's going to walk by him in the hallway and say, oh, number 34 looks good today. Then Mike McDonald's going to look at the film and be like, dang, is that what he was talking about, number 34? It's just the Yoda in Frazier is going to be so beneficial to Mike McDonald, and he's going to take it and run with it. So, yeah, it's his youth is an advantage when it comes to that, because I wouldn't say youth. He's not a kid. His inexperience is an advantage in this situation because he's more likely to adjust his message and his philosophies.
All right, let's talk about the two things that stood out most. So those were just like little nuggets that were thrown in here. There was another one where I couldn't tell if Albert Breer. So the Seahawks missed the window of when they could interview coaches on the remaining playoff teams. And Albert Breer kind of hinted that in the past, coaches had put in requests to interview Seahawks coaches when the Seahawks had been in the playoffs, even though they're not supposed to. And so the Seahawks, having felt that that was a distraction previously, were really, really respectful of the Ravens, which I appreciated. That was the last little nugget. Now more important things. The types of guys they go after, this description will not surprise you in any way. You're going to be like, okay, yeah, but we'll talk about it anyway, the kind of guys they want to bring in to build their program. McDonald told Schneider he wants to emphasize drafting, signing, and developing tough, rugged, high-character players who love football.
Sure.
Yes.
Every team in every sport could say the same thing.
Exactly. These are absolutely guys. Now, the reason that I even mentioned in the first place is because they were both in lockstep with their highest draft pick, number 16 pick Byron Murphy, and importantly with bringing back Leonard Williams. So part of what they did with Leonard Williams was show McDonald a lot of the tape and go over Williams with McDonald, kind of to be like, this is the right guy, right? Like this is a guy that works for your defense. Like I know we brought him before you were here, but we're paying him a lot of money. Is this a guy that can work out? And yes, he is. Like that already. They have a good step up and a good start with the guys that they want.
No knock, on Leonard Williams. 32 teams would have looked at that film and said, yeah, obviously you need Leonard Williams.
We're cool with it.
I don't think Mike sat there and goes, I don't know, guys. I don't like the way his right hand moves when he's going this way. I'm sure there are things that you could pick apart when it comes to anybody's game. Nobody is perfect. But that's a great place to start, right?
Yeah, it's like you're not fishing for...
You sit down at a restaurant and you be like, would you like some water? Of course I'd like some water. That's what Leonard Williams is. Yeah, go ahead and bring me the water. You know, get this thing going. That's a great place to start, and especially because of Mike McDonald's background, I would assume he's going to look at that box anyway and going to need those hogs up front. So yes, it's that's a good starting off point for a relationship. Like you like him, so do we. Let's go ahead and lock this down.
Well, I think the main point that was made and really stressed by the end of it too. Again, I highly recommend it. It's out in Sports Illustrated this morning. It's about how the Seahawks landed on Mike McDonald, how the interviews went, and all that stuff. The main point that's emphasized is one that you and I have already talked about, and I know that you and I both feel passionate about, which is this isn't a rebuild. It's not a restart. That this team had no intentions of tanking, and that they were aware that normally when you're bringing in a head coach, there's this kind of idea that everything else that preceded him has failed. That you're bringing in a head coach because you failed. That you're bringing in a head coach because something's not working. But one thing that they liked that Mike McDonald believed, and that John Schneider clearly believes, is that there is a lot that's working. And I think maybe there are some fans that don't want to hear that, that want to feel like scrap everything, get rid of everything, start over because, you weren't good enough. But I think you and I and a lot of people can also look at this organization, look at the pieces that were there last year, and I'm not just talking about personnel.
Yeah.
I'm talking about people in and outside of the building, philosophies, and think, no, you've got something there.
Just because you break up with someone doesn't mean that 100% of them was bad. Even if it's just 10%, you're still going to look for that 10% in someone else. Even if you don't realize that you are doing that, you're going to look for that 10% elsewhere. So for the people who just wanted to start all over and forget Pete Carroll, everything that he's done, you are absolutely nuts. He's the most successful head coach this organization has ever had. Some things needed to change for sure, but you're not just going to reinvent the wheel when it comes to some of the things that Pete Carroll likes to do. And I think Mike McDonald understands that. And the more he's in here, the more he goes through this process, the more he's going to make it his. I don't call this situation a rebuild, renovation, whatever you want to call it. I call it an off season. It's just an off season. Every single year, you are going to try to make your team better. In this case, over here in Seattle, you're making it better with a few more guys on defense and a new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. It's not, let's blow this whole thing up and start from scratch. No, because you got talent. You got DK. You got Geno. You got an offensive line with a couple guys who have potential over there. You have a potential all-pro corner on one side and a freak on the other side. It's not a start all over type of thing, but it is a offseason where a lot of moves were made, but a lot is still remaining the same.
Well, and yeah, you're bringing in a fresh set of eyes and maybe bringing in some accountability as a result of that. But is there not something else to learn from an organization that's been pretty dominant for the better part of 14 years, right? Like, I know that we're looking at the end and we're going, God, this defense was just atrocious. Or like, God, you couldn't consistently win playoff games. You'd get to the playoffs, you'd get double-digit wins, and then you'd fall out in some way or another, always for a different reason. But, oh, my God, Pete Carroll was the first Seahawks coach to win a Super Bowl. He took this team to back-to-back Super Bowls. They built up so many good teams. And with 14 years of that, there's a lot of building blocks that are put in place. And I like you mentioning the breakup metaphor is like, you don't just come in and start all over just because the relationship didn't work. You look at like, well, who's this person right now? Like, what can we work with here? I don't mind that analogy in terms of the head coach coming in going, well, wait a minute. Like, I like a lot of this.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of this that's good.
Oh, man. I like the feel in VMAC when I walk through the door and it doesn't feel like people are all uptight. I like this environment. I like the 6'3" corner you have over there. He's a good corner. I can fix some things, but I like where he's at. Oh, you got a veteran quarterback, so when some people have doubted, I like him. Now let's go ahead and get somebody just to back him up just in case. But I like that. So it's a balancing act of keeping what's good and still making it yours. And I think so far he's done exactly that. And he has a partner who has been there through this whole thing, this whole run that the Hawks had of this success over the past 13, 14 years, who can guide him and assist him along the way to where he might not notice a change that needs to be made here or something that needs to be remain the same. And John can get in his ear and say, what do you think about this? I think ultimately John's going to make sure Mike makes this thing his. But winning is winning. And if you were to line up the 3, 4, 5 best teams over the past 10 to 12 years, I guarantee you will find a bunch of similarities on how things work, how relationships are, and how they go about their business. It'd be crazy just to come up in this piece and be like, nope, starting all over, fire everybody, forget the communications team, the marketing team.
Yeah.
Like, no, they've done a good job. Like, make it yours, but realize what's been working too.
Exactly, 1,000%. I'm glad you mentioned the people behind the scenes too. Like, so many people have been with this team for decades, and just because you missed the playoffs in 2 out of 3 seasons, or just because your defense is really floundering, and just because you clearly see that there needs to be a culture shift, doesn't mean that you need to start from scratch. There's like this almost like petty approach that we normalize with the NFL. Oh, come in, scrap it down, take everything down, like it literally normalizing like a throw the baby out with the bathwater approach to NFL locker room. Get rid of everyone. This team was 30th against the run. Get rid of everyone. Well, wait a minute. Hang on. Uchenna Nwosu is a former second-round pick who was really solid before he got hurt. Boye Mafe is a second-round pick. Who knows what he can be, but maybe you can fine-tune his approach. Darrell Taylor, God knows what he's going to become, but he was almost a first-round pick for you. Yeah. You know what I mean? You've got Devin Witherspoon, number 5 overall. Reek Woolen had a really promising rookie season. What can you tap into in year 3? There's so much untapped potential because it kind of fell flat when the team clearly, in my opinion, like a messaging was lost. I don't know if it gave up on itself. I don't know if people were just kind of, coasting. I don't know what was happening, but I refuse to look at a team with, an average of $20 million per invested in its top 2 wide receivers and think you can't fix things. You've got so much invested.
Yeah, and maybe the other coaches just weren't using some guys the right way. And that's where you lean on McDonald when it comes to film study. And I'm sure he watched every snap from that defense last year and tried to understand what Clint Hurt was trying to accomplish and said, okay, this is what I would do with this talent. And then the positions where you might have felt like this team has struggled the most. A lot of people talked about the linebacker position, said Bobby's not playing downhill the way he used to. Of course not, he's in his 30s. You're not deep at that position. What do? You go ahead and get more linebackers.
Yep.
You look at the safety spot. You say, hey, Jamal wasn't getting it done, not getting coverage. Diggs is getting expensive. What do? You go ahead and you get yourself some safeties. And then in the draft, you grab yourself some corners. I just point all that out to say he didn't ignore the spots that a lot of people felt this defense was weak. And then you get into the draft, and what do? Number 16, you go ahead and you get yourself a defensive lineman. So that's a prime example of addressing some things that needed to be addressed and keeping some things the same. Reek Woolen and Devin Witherspoon should be the number one corners when they enter minicamp, and I guarantee they're going to do that. But he also said, look, don't get comfortable out here. I'm going to draft me some young bulls. I'm still going to get Kobe Bryant some reps. Michael Jackson ain't going nowhere, and Trey Brown is still in the room. It's all about creating competition, creating an environment that works for how you want to run things, but also not ignoring some of the pieces that are there and the things that have been working.
Albert Breer, who authored this article and has a ton more insight about what went into hiring Mike McDonald, will join us at 1 p.m. today. So about 45 minutes from now, Albert's going to join us, and he's going to talk about these conversations that he had with Mike and John and kind of what he learned about their relationship. I'm so curious to hear what Albert thinks about what works and doesn't work when new coaches take over. He's seen this. He's seen it work. He's seen it fail. Would love to hear his insight. So again, he's going to join us at 1 p.m. Let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bubba and Stacy.
Headline number one, Ty France placed on the injured list over the weekend with a hairline fracture in his heel. No timetable has been given for his return. What's the real headline?
There is, however, a timetable on the trade deadline. That's July 30th at 3 p.m. Pacific. Maybe you need to add a first baseman.
Maybe you do. We're going to see how this young man, Tyler Locklear, works out. Thick individual, man. That dude could have been a defensive lineman outside backer if he wanted to. So you're going to give him a chance. It's unfortunate that we're getting a chance to see this young man play because Ty France is banged up, but it's also a blessing because you get to see what he can do. And then also, if he goes out and plays well, then you send him back to the minors. Guess who else is trade bait for that deadline you just talked about on July 30th? Brian Bliss, same thing. He's getting his opportunities. Hit his first bomb defensively. He's been good on the base. He's on point. Guess who else becomes a candidate?
Right.
So with some losses come some gains. You lose Polanco, you lose Ty France, but you also allow these young men to go out there and do their thing at the highest level. And maybe it works out or maybe it doesn't, and they help you make this team better later on.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number two, Caitlin Clark was not among the 12 players selected to the United States Women's Olympic team. What's the real headline?
Was this based on merit, or is it a way to avoid a distraction?
Man, it's based on people feeling like she's getting things she didn't deserve. And I couldn't agree more with that statement. I think that she gets a lot of flack, but she also helped bring charter planes to this deal. She's also boosting the revenue of the WNBA. I believe they grossed $200 million last year. I guarantee you those numbers are going to be better. Even though the WNBA was already headed in the right direction when it comes to that. You get more reporters and writers at these games. You're getting more coverage on ESPN and on shows like this. But I think that because people feel like she's operating from a place of privilege instead of a place that she earned is touching people the wrong way. And let me remind you that she scores more points than Diana Taurasi. She's on the team. She has more assists than Jewel Lloyd. Love Lloyd. I think she deserves to be on the team, but she's on the team. And she shoots 32% from deep, and Sabrina shoots 33% from deep. She does turn the ball over more. She does have some things she needs to work on. But Anthony Davis was on the team his rookie season, and before he even played in the NBA. Candace Parker, the same thing. This isn't something that hasn't been done before, but I think the WNBA is in a position it's never been in before. For they're getting pressure from all angles. It is not just, let's just support the women and watch them play. Now, because of the popularity, they're getting some of the criticism that all these other leagues get constantly, and they just don't know how to maneuver. We had Elise Woodward on earlier, and she pointed out also that Caitlin didn't get a chance to go to the USA basketball camps and all that stuff. So these coaches got more comfortable with other players. I see that. I agree with it. There's an argument to keep her on the team or put her on the team, and there's an argument to have her sit this one out. I'm good with both, but don't act like if she were on that team, it wouldn't have been deserved.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It would have, though, been a distraction. And I think that's what makes the conversation an interesting one is like there are so many questions to come from this for me. One, how the WNBA has taken advantage of or struggled with, I don't want to say newfound, but a notable increase in popularity as a result of this new rookie class, in particular, Clark. In some ways, it's really embracing it. And in a lot of ways, I'm really grateful for it. On the flip side, there have been all kinds of things where you go, hey, this comes with the territory, man. Like you've talked about like outbursts or frustration on the part of players during press conferences with dumb questions. Hey, you know what you get a lot of when you have more eyes? Dumb questions.
Dumb questions all the time.
And even on the part of reporters, you know what you get a lot of when more people are watching the game? Dumb columns, dumb ideas, just all kinds of wild statements. That happens in every league where a lot of people are watching and a lot of people are consuming because there are just more eyeballs, more brains thinking about it.
Yeah.
And that just happens. And so I know it can be frustrating to answer questions you don't want to answer, but it comes with the territory. I thought it was a really great point by you.
Thank you. I wonder if the WNBA has prepared these young athletes for this, because when I was in the NFL, I mean, it was constant. We had so many people coaching us up on what to expect and maybe how to approach certain situations, because NFL is king. I'm sure there are departments within the WNBA that help these people. I'm sure they're not just saying, hey, go out there, girl. Good luck. Answer these questions. But how in depth are they getting with this, and how are they preparing them? Because some of these responses I feel like aren't warranted. I go, dang, man, like you want this spotlight. You're sitting down. I learn a new WNBA player every week because they're sitting down, they're having these conversations. I go up, I look up her stats, I see what she's doing. It's all press is almost good press, unless you're being like violent and stuff and get in trouble with the law. You just take the dumb questions, give them your attitude. I'm fine with that. We see coaches do it all the time, players do it, but do it in a way to where it's, I don't know. I don't want to say classy or not, because I don't think they're not being classy. I just think that they're just not used to being in that position.
What do you make of the layered conversations that come out of all of this? There's conversations about race. There's conversations about sexism. There's conversations about what to do with attention and whether or not a league can be above trying to earn more. So Albert Breer, who's again joining us at 1, said, yeah, Olympic teams should be picked on merit, no doubt, but this is a really insane, it's patently insane for a sport that's had a very real surge in popularity to not do everything it can to capitalize on the moment, which is a completely fair point. Then there are people that would argue, well, why does the WNBA have to do something it wouldn't normally do? Like, there are so many layered conversations to come from this.
There's so many, and I think they're all conversations that are good, even if it makes people uncomfortable. Because what it does is it brings awareness to the situation from many different angles, and it also continues to keep us talking about this league, who in 10 years, when my daughter's ready to ball and hopefully get into this league, it should be in a place that we couldn't imagine, and it's because of this moment right here.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 3, the Celtics beat Dallas 105-98 despite a late run by the Mavericks. They lead the NBA Finals 2-0 with the series now going back to Dallas. What's the real headline?
Yeah, I think that might be where the series ends, too.
Nah, they getting one.
Okay.
Ain't no way Luka not going to drop 35, 10, and 15, and Kyrie drop 10 and 10, and someone surprise you off the bench or something. I don't believe it. But I do believe the Celtics are the better team, and they're probably going to win their 18th championship. Lakers, y'all better hurry up and find a coach.
Albert Breer joining us at 1 p.m. to get back to that conversation about the Seahawks. First, taking a look around the NFL. One longtime head coach is staying with his team for 3 more years. Don't go anywhere.
Seattle Sports is your exclusive home for Mariners baseball.
Leaps up and he makes the catch.
Every strikeout.
Swing and a miss. Ryan Wu says, can you touch this? And he just overpowers Aaron Judge.
Every home run.
It's going back. Go! On a grand slam for J.P. Crawford.
Every Mariners win.
A 2-2 on the way, swing and a miss, strike 3. And the ball game is over.
Stream every game at SeattleSports.com or on the Seattle Sports app. We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Carl was a very safe cyclist. He was just a man who was trying to stay healthy.
I was riding along and I could see very well, but I didn't see something in front of me, and I flipped over the top and I landed on the back of my neck and ended up breaking my neck.
After his accident, we moved to Spokane because we physically could not get him into our house. Our daughter-in-law arranged for us to meet with 3 different law firms, and the Davis Law Group was the clear choice.
When I found out the Supreme Court had ruled in our favor, I just remember that I was exhilarated. It was very elating. Chris did a great job.
Settling the case when we did, it means that we don't have to worry about stretching every single dollar. We always felt that they were going above and beyond.
Learn more about Carl's story at dlgstories.com/Carl.
Well, we were all hoping for good news from the feds, but without any rate cut in sight, Americans are still paying crazy high rates on credit cards and other loans. Don't wait for things to get worse. If you're struggling, act now. Hey, this is Brock Ewart for my friends at Tila Mortgage. Contact Tila for information on their home equity line of credit, or HELOC. With a HELOC, you can consolidate high-interest bills into one lower, manageable payment while keeping your current low fixed-rate first mortgage. Tila's been helping Washingtonians consolidate debts for over 25 years, and they're experts at purchase and reverse mortgages, too. Take control of your finances and improve your monthly cash flow. Don't let debt payments control your life. Call Tila Mortgage today at 206-766-8888. That's 206-766-8888 or
Tila Mortgage LLC is a mortgage broker. NMLS 2472046.
Summer is the time to feel and look your best. But I'm not talking about your abs or tan. Guys, I'm talking about your hair. Restore that bald spot, reverse your receding hairline, or add volume to thinning during Advanced Hair's once yearly summer savings event. Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment begins to regrow your very own hair the very next day, and they guarantee your new hair will grow. They are the team that addressed my hair loss, and I recommend them to everyone. Take advantage of your flexible summer calendar and get the most hair for your dollar. Advanced Hair's summer sales event is on for a limited time. So get the details and schedule your free consultation today. 425-449-8185. One-day treatment, life-changing results. With Advanced Hair, your new hair is guaranteed to grow. Check out the incredible before and afters and make the call now while their summer savings event is still on. That's 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here for Window Nation. If you haven't had a chance to take advantage of their semi-annual sale, you are in luck because they've extended it. Get 50% off all windows with no interest for 5 years and a bonus 10% savings when you schedule an estimate now. If your old windows are costing you too much for AC, that's a big deal. And now during Window Nation's semi-annual sale, you can replace them and save big. This offer ends June 30th, so schedule your in-home estimate now. Call 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com.
We are Seattle Sports.
Tyler Locklear with his first base hit, first RBI. The Mariners have a 2-1 lead.
The home of the Mariners.
June is Men's Health Month, and Swedish Cyberknife wants to make a positive difference in the life of someone listening right now. After skin cancers, prostate cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer among men. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer during their lifetime. Right now, it is estimated that more than 3 million U.S. men are living with prostate cancer. As men increase in age, their risk of developing prostate cancer increases. About 6 in 10 cases are found in men over the age of 65. Men with relatives, fathers, brothers, sons with a history of prostate cancer may be twice as likely to develop the disease. Prostate cancer can be silent. It's important to get checked, even if you have no symptoms. If you or someone you know is diagnosed with prostate cancer, consider treatment at Swedish Cyberknife right here in Seattle. It's one of the shortest, requiring only 5 treatment sessions. Swedish Cyberknife physicians publish a 97% effective rate. Go to Swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate.
Attention contractors, builders, and heavy equipment operators. It's a monster 3-day heavy equipment, trucks, and much more auction at the James G. Murphy Auction Company in Marysville underway now. Equipment like a 2021 Weiler B458 Feller Buncher, 16 excavators, 8 dozers, a 2018 Komatsu WA270-8 wheel loader, and a 2021 John Deere 310 SL backhoe. There's 4 Vector trucks, 11 dump trucks, 9 skid steer loaders, 11 boom lifts, and much more. Need a recreational vehicle or a weekend funmobile? There's a 1978 Toyota FJ40 Land Cruiser, a 2022 Polaris Pro snowmobile, 6 new dirt bikes, and a 2014 Nissan GTR world-class supercar. Preview of all items is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Wednesday the 12th at the corner of 136th and State Street in Marysville. Check murphyauction.com for pictures and all details. That's murphyauction.com.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I am debating making a texter comment during our last conversation, its own segment.
Do it.
I think I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad take. I just disagree with it, and I love where the conversation goes.
All right, don't spoil it, though.
Okay, don't spoil it. That's coming up at 12:45. The only thing I'll say is it will be a Seahawks segment. Let me copy and paste it. Thank you, Kevin and Callie. Okay, taking a look around the NFL, the Steelers and Mike Tomlin have agreed to a 3-year contract extension. Tomlin was entering into the final year of his deal. Y'all remember back in January when the Steelers were ousted from the playoffs and Mike Tomlin was not at all very happy about being asked about his contract status?
Mike, you have a year left on your contract.
That was the sound of him leaving. Well, he's back. He's staying. It's fine. So at least we know the answer to that question now.
You ready for me to be a hypocrite?
Yes.
I asked the women of the WNBA to sit there, answer the questions, not give attitude or whatnot, or to give attitude, but just answer the question, right?
Okay.
Tomlin walking away, he's earned that.
I disagree so strongly.
He's earned that.
I disagree.
If Don Staley, right,
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina, she don't want to answer no questions.
Sure.
Go ahead and walk away. If Candace Parker were still playing, she don't want to answer no questions, go ahead and do your thing. There's levels to this. The same way that people have louder voices on each team because of what they've done for the team, the same way to where if Mike Tomlin don't want to answer no questions about a contract extension because he just don't want to do it, I'm good with it. Bill Belichick don't want to answer no questions, I'll deal with it. But if you are a youngster in the league, just answer the question.
There's a difference between what's unnecessary and what I think someone has the right to or not to do. Mike Tomlin, 1,000% has the right to be able to walk away from the podium. First question, hey, you guys won today. Walk away. Fine. He deserves that. He has that right. Anyway, a rookie has the right to be able to do that. Absolutely.
No, they don't.
Okay,
no,
well, they have the ability to remove themselves from
right.
a place that they don't want to be. But I also think it's a little tacky. I just think that
it is.
Look, I just think that you, Mike Tomlin, have done so many difficult things in your career. You've faced so many incredibly difficult obstacles. You've faced so much doubt and have proven so many people wrong. What's difficult about just say no comment. Next.
That's just how you decided to do it.
I thought it was funny. Like the video itself, I laughed out loud. Because his face, just Mike Tomlin's face.
You know what? It's just like when my kids ask me why they have to do something. First of all, don't ask me why.
Yeah.
It's because I said so. Okay, because we brought you in this world, we clothe you, we feed you. When you are an adult and you want to talk about things you didn't like when you were a child, so be it. Until now, just do what I tell you to do.
I will tell you that I am being biased. And here's where my bias comes in. It's in 2 parts. Number 1, this was a reporter. I have been a reporter. I hate it when people try to frame, quote, the media as this giant, like conglomerate kind of thing when it really includes so many smaller things. Most players are fine with reporters. The beat reporters that are out there, those players see them 3 days a week for their entire careers. Like all those people are trying to do is to get maybe some kind of quote about someone being excited for a game so they can write an article and be out of there too. Like no one's trying to hurt anyone. I hate people trying to make it reporters like, whoa, what are they doing asking that question? It's a fair question. You know what people were talking about during the game, whether or not that would be Tomlin's last?
Yeah.
It's a fair question.
It is fair.
Secondly, a female reporter. I get really, really sensitive when it's a female reporter her name's Brooke Pryor. She's a really well-respected reporter because people are extra hard on female reporters. Extra hard.
I don't think it had anything to do with it, though.
Some people were without fail.
Mike's reaction.
No, not with him.
Yeah.
He knows Brooke. He's seen her there a million times, I'm sure. But random fans, really. Like, no matter what, if a woman asks a dumb question, they hear about it 10 times more than if a man asks. So I will admit there's bias here.
Okay.
I'm just throwing that out there that this is influenced by bias, and I will acknowledge that.
We all have them.
Mm-hmm. Veteran NFL wide receiver Robbie Chosen, a.k.a. Chosen Anderson, a.k.a. Robbie Anderson, formerly known as Robbie Anderson, will participate in Seattle's minicamp this week on a tryout basis. He played sparingly for the Dolphins in 2023. Not a lot of room there for an extra receiver, making 4 receptions in 9 games.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. If you are going to be the 4th, 5th, 6th receiver on a roster, you got to be able to play special teams. I just don't know if he's willing or able to do that. But if he goes out during this camp and goes nuts, there's going to be some decisions that need to be made. He was a 1,000-yard receiver back with the New York Jets. He's had seasons of 900 yards, 800 yards. He's a solid 3 option when he's healthy, when his mind is into it. So we shall see, man. I think he's like a PJ Walker type of guy. When you get into these preseason games and the starters are out and the twos are out, he'll be out there trying to win himself a job either with this team or with another team.
Tight end Mercedes Lewis, age 40, is signing with the Bears for his 19th season in the NFL. I believe that's a league record right now, certainly for non-quarterbacks. I believe even for quarterbacks. I'll have to double check it. We'll see what Aaron Rodgers is at. But here's the deal. Who cares, really? Like, go, get your money, get this contract. You're not taking anyone's spot. Like you're there to help out as much as you can, though in a very limited role. In his age 39 season with Chicago, he was targeted 5 times, 4 receptions for 29 yards. Age 38 season with Green Bay, had 6 catches for 66 yards. So this is not someone that anyone is talking about right now at this point in his career without him being 40. That being said, Mercedes, rest those knees, my man.
Hey, they must be all right. He must be able to get up in the morning and feel good enough to go out there and go through a training camp.
Man.
He's so old. I used to go watch him at UCLA when I was in high school. Like, he is a vampire, it feels like.
Yeah, we had Maurice Jones-Drew on the show a couple weeks ago. Mercedes Lewis played with him in college.
Yeah.
It's been nuts. Around for a while.
He's only had one really good season in Jacksonville in 2010. He was a Pro Bowler, 700 yards and 10 touchdowns. Other than that, since 2017, let's go 2016. Forget it. Let's go 2014. He's had seasons of 200, 200, 100, 300, 100, 100, 200. He's more of a mentor, more of a blocking type tight end at this point of his career, but obviously still holds value.
The Madden cover may have been leaked over the weekend. The cover that was leaked shows, drumroll, Joe Burrow.
Joey?
Yeah.
Joey Crack?
Yep.
Okay.
Joe Burrow. Cool Joe.
That's fine.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
I would have complained a tiny bit, and it wouldn't have been fair if it was Travis Kelce, because I would have been convinced it was only because of Taylor Swift, even though I support their relationship. Even though I support it. I think it could have gone to a more deserving candidate.
It could have, but let's be 100. Cool Joe Burrow, marketable as heck.
Yeah.
Symmetrical face, jawline, the little curl he leaves in front of his hair, the Superman curl he leaves in front. He's good for business. So when it comes to just the look of Joe Burrow, it works, but Christian McCaffrey should be the guy.
I agree. Christian McCaffrey, I know he didn't win the Super Bowl, but was a big part of the reason the 49ers were there. I appreciate representing running backs, still finding ways to make that money. Christian McCaffrey is such a fun player that when we interview other running backs about him, they're like, yeah, I don't know how his body does it. And I don't mean taking on hits or whatever. I mean literally the way his body tilts, the way he runs, the way he cuts. It's impressive to watch, and I can't imagine being a player and knowing what body control feels like and then watching it. It's got to be crazy.
Here's a cool story. Christian McCaffrey went to Valor High School in Denver when I was offensive coordinator at Eastside Catholic. We played them on ESPN, and they whooped our butt. He came from that school with that coaching. It all makes sense, but obviously he has the genetics as well. Pops helped him out. I think Brock's kids either went to or are going to Valor as well over there in Denver. That's just what they do. And Christian McCaffrey, man, he's a freaking machine.
Did you ever see, related to this, anyone, I don't know if your age gap is big enough. You would have had to be maybe in your early 20s seeing them. But anyone who now is a pro and really, really good, and you remember seeing them when they were younger, going like, oh man, this guy's something special. I think you might have to wait a while. You're going to have to be, you got now like teenagers that are going to have to go through school and stuff to get there.
Yeah, that's nuts. Give me a segment.
I think you're too young for this. Really, I mean it. I mean, I think because a lot of that requires like, yeah, this kid played, college sports with my kid.
No,
and I remember.
You know who I did see? I saw Tua when he was maybe 15 or 14 years old in one of these 707 tournaments.
Yeah.
Had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
I go, who the heck is that kid? So I found out at that tournament who he was and followed him throughout his career.
Which is actually a great answer because now people look at Tua as like, oh, is he really one of the best? And it goes to show, and I can't stress this enough, it's one of the things that I've learned most about since working in sports, the gap between elite NFL talent and the NFL talent that we think is not being good enough or ones that we question, that those guys in that second pool are so much better than everyone else.
It's ridiculous.
To be on a practice squad, you have to be just miles ahead of everyone else. And we take for granted the talent that's in professional sports.
Yeah.
Regardless of the league, WNBA, NBA, NFL, whatever it is. We take for granted the talent level that's there because they're all competing against each other, and we don't realize how absolutely insanely gifted these people are.
You know where that's happened the most recently, especially this year? Caitlin Clark. People thinking Caitlin Clark was going to go to the WNBA and just be dropping 35 on a regular. Those are the best women basketball players in the world, Craig.
In the world, Craig. Someone sent in a response when we were talking about changing Seahawks culture and what went wrong with the defense, and he, a listener, had an opinion about what was wrong with the defense. It is not a bad opinion. It is an interesting opinion, though one I disagree with, and one I found so fascinating that I actually made its own segment. Kevin and Callie was kind of our producer for 1245, coming up with a really hot take here. We'll get back with it next.
Get the national perspective on the Mariners.
Swing and a miss and a slider, strike three.
With Jeff Passan, Tuesdays mornings at 8:30.
I don't think that it is unrealistic to believe that they have the talent and the ability to win a championship with this team.
And John Morosi, Thursdays at 5 p.m.
Their DNA remains intact. This is a rotation-dependent team.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Do you have a car you're thinking of selling? You want to get the most money for it, but you probably don't want to deal with the hassle of selling it yourself because it's annoying. Meeting a stranger in some store parking lot after work so they can test drive your car and negotiate on a price? No, thank you. So here's why you should sell your car to my friends at Wayscar Ford in Auburn. They have a program that pays top dollar for your vehicle up front, and it gets even better after. Because when Wayscar Ford resells your old car, they split the profit 50-50 with you. Why? The money they save on auction buy fees, transportation costs, and travel expenses allows them to offer this. They'd much rather split that money with you rather than outside services. But are they going to offer you less? No. In fact, they encourage you to shop and compare, but in virtually every case, Wayscar Ford's been able to match or beat competitor offers. So if you're looking to sell your car, make sure you do it at Wayscar Ford in Auburn and get paid twice for it.
Well, this week's First Mark Challenge victory goes to my buddy Richard. Richard, why did you call First Mark Insurance?
The lady I'd been using for a couple of years left, and I had no representation. I heard the advertisements on the radio, and I just said, I got to do this. So I did, and I'll tell you, it's been happy days ever since then.
Were they able to save you money, Richard?
Yeah, it saved me about $3,500 is all.
Wow. Wow.
But I also picked up some other things. I got a personal umbrella because I've got a rental house in Idaho as well.
So what do you tell others, your friends, your family, your people you trust?
You need to call First Mark because they have top-notch customer service. Most companies offer customer no service nowadays. First Mark has the most top-notch customer service I've ever experienced, bar none.
Richard did it. My family did it. You got to go do it. It's totally free. Take the First Mark Challenge. See how much money they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you will be our next First Mark Challenge victory. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com.
Oh no, your furnace died. Your hot water heater's leaking. Your drains are clogged. Your AC's blowing hot air. Inconveniences? No, they're emergencies. Don't fear. Call Deere Services. Visit DeereServices.net. Make an appointment, and we'll be there within 3 hours or give you $100 credit. And get this, you will never pay a service fee. Bookmark DearServices.net. Because if you're a homeowner, it'll happen to you someday. Deere Services, there when you need us most.
It's Cookies Country Chicken pregame fry time reminder. Headed to the ball game? Come on down to Cookies in Pioneer Square for some real good chicken and tell them,
make it spicy.
Fresh fried chicken at Cookies. CookiesCountryChicken.com.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Listen throughout the week to the Mariners Player Spotlight.
Give props to Jerry and Justin. They did a great job bringing in these good group of guys.
Presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential. But finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
We could try to explain what it feels like to get your work done on a John Deere. The way a Z-Track mower finishes in half the time you thought it would. Or how much easier it is to move mountains of soil with a 1 Series tractor. We could even go into detail about how it feels to tow up to 4,000 pounds behind a Gator XUV. But if you really want to know what it's like to run with us, you just have to get in the seat. Learn more at johndeere.com/get-in-the-seat or visit a dealer near you.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
You're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Bump, we had a listener, Kevin and Callie, weirdly from the 253. So, Kevin, I don't know if you're a liar, pants on fire or what, but this area code does not match up. I mentioned that he sent in a question that I turned into a segment, and Kevin said, "Woo, I made it!" And it would be so funny if I just dragged Kevin after this. Kevin's like, "I made it!" And
I've never seen a worse take in my life.
I've never seen a dumber comment from anyone. Kevin should move back to Cali, is what he should do. No, it was an interesting one. I do disagree with Kevin, but I thought that it was a really interesting conversation. We were talking about kind of what went wrong for the Seahawks. And we mentioned the defense just falling apart. And so I understand the feeling people have about scrapping it and starting over, but that there's still so much potential there. And I do agree with Kevin that one of the things that was clearly a problem for Seattle at the end of Carroll's tenure was, I don't know whether it was position coaches, but that coaching, messaging, something not player related was clearly a problem.
Right.
So I do agree with that. Kevin's take is most, if not all, of the problems the last 2 seasons were not player talent related. It was all about coaching and execution. So here's the deal. I'm going to sound hypocritical in saying that I disagree with Kevin, but I think there's an interesting conversation to be had about what the heck was wrong with the defense and whether or not actual personnel is part of that problem. What do you think?
I think it's never one thing. It's never just the coaching. It's never just the players. You can look at what you got out of, say, Bobby Wagner, who led the team in tackles, 183, 3.5 sacks, 3 passes defended. The reason why I point at Bobby is because he's the leader in that defense, and there were some things, even him, who he was probably the best player on that defense last year, him and Devin Witherspoon. There were things that even he could do better last year, maybe getting downhill a bit more. We shall see. Then I look at guys like Jamal Adams last year. Only played in 9 games, right? But I'm looking over the past 2 seasons. So over the past 2 seasons, Jamal was put in positions he should not be in. If Jamal does not need to drop and play a quarters type of look at that safety spot, you don't put him back there to do that. That's just not what he does. He's not good at those type of things. And then I look at, say, the development of DT, who I think low-key might be top 5 most athletic guys on this team. Was he being developed? Was he being taught? Was he being coached in a way that allowed him to go out there and play freely? So I just pointed out some physical things that players could have done better, but there are some schematic things that put guys in the wrong position as well. And then there's the teaching. So when there is a teacher and her whole class is failing, it ain't the class. It's the teacher. The teacher is not communicating or getting these students on the right page so they can excel. So then what do teachers do? They start grading on the curve. Because now it's like, all right, well, that F is really like a B, and that super F is really like a D. I have to change what I'm doing to make sure these kids are successful. So I just bounced around. I went like 3 different directions right now because that's exactly what it is. It's never just the coaching. It's never just the athletes that are on the field. There's a reason why Devin Bush isn't back. Because he wasn't getting it done. Not a bad player, not a bad person. He's undersized. It was the number 10 pick out of Michigan. He came here. He was not able to get it done. So that's the way I see it. It takes everybody to mess this thing up. And Clint Hurt was a first-time defensive coordinator. I'm sure he learned from his mistakes. He's going to go over there to Philly, get that D-line right, and he'll probably be a coordinator once again. But it's never just one thing. There were things that could have been done with the personnel differently. There are things you could have done with coaching and teaching differently. And then guys just have to make plays. Like Julian Love, once he started getting reps, for real, balling.
Yeah.
Why did it take so long to get Julian Love on the field? Was it because he wasn't getting in that practice? Or was it because the coach didn't see something in him and say, you know, I'm going to roll with these other 2?
I absolutely agree. I think 2 things are true about this roster itself, okay, the players themselves. Number 1, there is some untapped potential here, either because of a lack of accountability or discipline, maybe a lack of belief, maybe a lack of how you're using certain guys, coaching decisions, okay, that there's some untapped potential here.
Yeah.
Number 2, that this team really did struggle to draft for a good 9 years. That I truly believe that, like, there is a talent.
Defensively.
Yep, draft defensively.
Yeah.
That there is a talent gap, particularly defensively, as a result of some missed draft decisions. Now, the good news is this team did hit on some really great players. In 2015, finding Frank Clark and Tyler Lockett. 2019, finding DK Metcalf. And I'll throw in Michael Dixon, obviously, who's been a Pro Bowler. Who finding more recently, Charles Cross, Devin Witherspoon. Like, great picks more recently. But there was a period of time where you could not draft a Pro Bowler on your defensive line, where you tried to, and I'll extend it further than that, where you tried to replenish your secondary with Tedrick Thompson, Lano Hill, Shaq Griffin, and who was the 4th? There was a 4th guy that you tried to put back there who I'm totally drawing a blank on.
Thompson.
Tedrick Thompson.
You said Tedrick?
Tedrick. There's another safety I'm forgetting, but it kind of drives the point home, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember the other guy you drafted to eventually, hopefully, be a starter for you. Like, you tried to replenish that, and it didn't work out, and that happens. It happens. Sometimes when you look back at amazing draft classes, it's because 2 guys became Pro Bowlers or 2 guys became starters, and that's all. That's it. I'll take that. That is a successful class. But for the longest time, you could not hit on defensive players. Right? You brought in Marquise Blair hoping he'd be a special guy, and maybe because he couldn't stay healthy, maybe because you missed on that one, whatever it was. It didn't work out. That was one of the highest drafted defensive players you've had under Pete and John. Not the highest, but he was a 2nd-round safety.
Yeah.
That was one of the highest drafted defensive backs that you've taken.
Yeah.
It didn't work out. And I know for a fact that this team had high expectations for him and thought that he could be special.
Yeah.
So I think it's a mix. I do think that the good news is they are making up ground there, drafting Devin Witherspoon, drafting Byron Murphy, bringing in some other guys in free agency. I think they're making up ground, but there was a real talent gap there, and I do think personnel was part of the problem.
For sure. On the offensive side, I think you have an opportunity to kind of see what was the real issue last year as well. Now, the offense wasn't bad, but they're mediocre. We felt like they could have been better. But because you're bringing back roughly the same group of starters from last year minus a center and maybe a guard, we're going to be able to see what Ryan Grubb can do with this offense. And I think at the end of the day, if they don't execute, then you can have the same questions. What is it? Is it personnel? Probably not, because most of those guys are still there. Or is it coaching? I think that is a question you can have with every team that does not win a Super Bowl or get into a conference championship, is you're going to have questions. Who was it? Whose fault? Personnel or the coaching? It's usually a mix.
Yeah. Someone said, don't forget Malik McDowell. Yes, defensive linemen they've really struggled with. Mike Tyson was the defensive back that I totally blanked on. Yeah.
Oh, Marquise Blair. Someone put blame. Marquise Blair. Remember him?
Yes.
Yep, safety.
Yeah, it's just, again, like, there are good players they've taken, but that, you know what's weird? Frank Clark did become a Pro Bowler, though not with you, though had the most career sacks with you. This is very interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I want to give John credit for that one, even though it wasn't really with him. I will. That was a good pick. I mean, he dropped, so then you made a move to trade up and you got him, and you just didn't keep him because he became too expensive, so you swapped it with another team. But they had some misses. I'm hoping that a fresh look at the roster makes them make up ground even further.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, really.
Fresh eyes.
Yeah, shout out Kevin and Callie, even though Bump and I disagreed with you a bit.
Well, and to clear it up, he said he's from Cali near Sacramento, but he moved to Kent, Maple Valley, 22 years before moving back to Cali to help my elderly mother and father for a year.
Oh, well, now I'm a jerk. Oh, so now I'm a jerk,
return to
Kevin.
Washington eventually.
Now I'm a bad guy, Kevin.
See?
Kevin did this to embarrass me. You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Albert Breer joins us next.
The Dugout. Go in depth with the Mariners.
Goodbye, baseball.
With voices like Rick Riz, Aaron Goldsmith, and Dave Sims.
This is a club that has the ability to go on another run.
You never know when a team is going to get hot.
This team's window is wide open.
Hear from the players and coaches and go behind the scenes with insider Shannon Dreyer.
We are seeing him comfortable with where he is at the plate. We're seeing a guy that has his timing.
The Dugout. Tuesdays at 1 p.m. on Seattle Sports.
This is Matt Coker from West Coast Men's Health. I'm proud to let you know that nationwide, our clinics have a 4.7 out of 5-star rating on Google. This tells you that our patients are really seeing results. Here's what some of them are saying. The results are close to phenomenal. On top of that, the staff and the scheduling are top-notch, and my technician is a consummate professional. Another patient said, I called numerous clinics, and West Coast was by far the best. The other places wouldn't give me any information over the phone, but West Coast answered all of my questions. My wife and I were skeptical, but we've already noticed the difference. This was a game changer for us. West Coast Men's Health has helped thousands of men reverse their ED using acoustic wave therapy. No pills or shots necessary. Give us a call today so we can help you too.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can. In the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
At State Roofing, we don't just install roofs, we build peace of mind. Hi, I'm Sam Thomason, owner of State Roofing, and we stand firmly behind our work, protecting your investment for years to come. Backed by warranties that offer you protection, reliability, and trust long after the project. Take advantage of our zero down, zero payments, and zero interest today. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com for a free estimate.
State Roofing, the last roof you'll ever need.
Looking for a new ride? Visit harnessautofamily.com for the hometown hookup on new Subarus, Chevrolets, Buick, GMCs, Kias, and Volkswagens, plus over 300 used cars and trucks. Tell them Brock sent you. harnessautofamily.com. People matter.
Ready for some summer hoops? Register your team for the Everett 3-on-3 tournament July 13th and 14th, presented by Boeing. 4 players to a team, 2 days of exciting action, 1 incredible tournament. Players of all ages and abilities are encouraged to come out and play. Get your team registered today. Go to everett3on3.net to sign up your team. That's everett3on3.net. A special thank you to event sponsors Amazon, City of Everett, Snohomish County TPA, McLean Insurance, and Scott Dahl Real Estate.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm, I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Can't fix everything for everybody, but you can be there and listen and try to help with what you can. You're there to support them, and that's the best that you can do.
It's this commitment, this philosophy that represents the LJ way.
This is my life. This is my family's life. The people that work here, they're my family. When something's not right with them, it's not right with us. My wife and 3 kids in the house, there's always something wrong with somebody at all times. And if there isn't, then something's wrong. When you have 388 employees, there's never a day that everything is good everywhere. You have to be okay with that. You have to look at that as opportunities to gain a better relationship with people and help them through what they're going through.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Gene Johnson, how can I help you?
I just flipped the AC on and it went clunk.
We're on it.
Gene Johnson, plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical. We're on it.
Holy smokes, another leadoff home run for J.P. Crawford in back-to-back games.
You're listening to 710 KIRO AM Seattle and KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma, the home of the Mariners. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Caitlin Clark doesn't seem too worried about not being included in the women's team for the 2024 Summer Olympics. She told reporters, I'm excited for them. I'm going to be rooting for them. It'll be fun to watch. There's no disappointment. It just gives me something to work for. UConn coach Dan Hurley staying put. Per ESPN, Hurley's turned down the Lakers' 6-year, $70 million offer to become their next head coach. LA reportedly has interest in JJ Redick, but otherwise continues to search for their next guy.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. How the Seahawks landed on Mike McDonald as Pete Carroll's successor. It is an in-depth article published earlier this morning through Sports Illustrated that looks at the behind the scenes, the Seahawks hiring of Mike McDonald and everything that goes into now working on this program. Albert Breer, author of this article, joining us now. You guys already know who Albert Breer is. Joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, Albert, how's it going?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
We are so happy to have you. We read this article this morning. We talked about it on air about an hour ago, leading into this conversation. And Albert, what stood out most to me is John Schneider's focus on making clear, like, hey, we're still borrowing from a lot of what worked. You don't just kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to an organization. Is that something that really resonated with you in these conversations?
Yeah, I mean, that was what was sort of unique about this one is, 9 times out of 10, like I said in the story, a new coach comes in and he's inheriting something broken. I don't think that's the case here. And, while there probably was some things that needed updating or changing or evolving, the bones of the program were good that Pete left behind. And, I can remember, this 2 summers ago now, sitting down talking with Geno Smith. And, he talked about, continuing to come back. And this was before he even won the starting job. And the reason why he kept coming back on one-year deals. And, he said what attracted him there in the first place and what he found when he got there was a really unique culture, a really unique atmosphere that was different than, anything he'd ever been a part of. And so, I think it speaks to, how, how player-friendly that place has been and how, how different it's been than so many other places in the league and how attractive it's been to players. And so, I think instead of deconstructing that, the idea was how do we build on it? How do we find somebody that can take what we've done and enhance it, And so, I think that's probably why, they shied away from getting the more of the taskmaster head coach, like a Mike Vrabel or a Bill Belichick that comes from that sort of tree. And we're looking for someone who could kind of add, again, just kind of the next step of what was already in place there. And, you listen to the energy when you hear Mike and John talk together, right? And I had them together. You can really kind of feel that. You can really feel how, the energy that had been in that building remains there. And so there's some challenges that come along with that, by the way, that we can get into. But, certainly, I think Mike's embraced the idea that he's inheriting something that has, a good foundation for him to build off of.
I'm glad. And when the pick was made, or Mike was hired by the Seahawks, that's the feeling that I got because I felt like, Albert, that he's young enough to have fresh ideas, but also young enough to know that you should lean on some things that have some success. So if you could look at, what you got from John Schneider and Mike McDonald, what would you say is the thing that resembles Pete the most and the thing that makes this program absolutely Mike McDonald's?
So I would say the thing that resembles Pete the most is probably the energy, right? So I think, you listen to those 2 guys talk when they're together and you can feel that and you can hear it, like I said. I also think that it's the idea is to maximize every player, which is exactly what Pete was, right? How can we maximize every player and how can we build something that has real identity and, has a real clear vision? And I can remember talking with Pete about this years and years and years ago where, one of the problems that he had with the Jets and the Patriots before, going to USC and then ultimately Seattle was that because of the way the organizations were set up, he couldn't really carry out his vision. And he did have a real clear vision for what he wanted, but he couldn't quite get the organization all where it needed to be to carry out that vision. And Seattle gave him that chance. I think it's the same thing with Mike, where he's got a very clear vision for what he wants. When I think it veers from Pete is probably more the schematic stuff. Pete, a lot of the roots of what Pete did was very simple and built on playing fast, and there were very strict prototypes for certain positions and what you needed and certain spots and how to certain roles. And, all of it obviously worked. I think Mike, my feeling at least, is that Mike is going to be looking for more flexibility in everything that he does because this is where he's from, right? So you're probably going to have a deeper well scheme-wise than you have there for a little while, and you're going to have versatility be very, very important trait for players, And you can see that with the way if you watch the way Baltimore plays, right? Baltimore had a bunch of guys who could play inside or outside at corner, had a bunch of guys who could play on the line, as pass rushers and still, drop off the line and play in coverage. On offense, like all the things that the Ravens did on offense were based on deception and really having guys who could do a number of different things. I think Zay Flowers was a great example of that as their first-round pick last year, right? So, I think that that's probably where he veers a little bit from Pete, and that, like, where, Pete's schemes were built largely on simplicity and athleticism and prototypes. I think what you'll see with McDonald is probably a little bit more flexibility and versatility being emphasized.
Albert, you've not just covered the NFL for a while. That also means you've covered a lot of head coaches being fired and a lot of new head coaches coming in. I would imagine that a lot of those scenarios feel the same, right? Like if you're firing your head coach, you're kind of a mess of an organization, but it's not always the case. How does Seattle look different to you, if at all, from an organization that typically does move on from a head coach?
Well, I mean, like I said, like you're normally broken, right? Like so, but there is an advantage to that, right? Like there is for a new coach coming in. Like, I mean, if you come into a broken scenario and the team just went 2-14 and the roster's in rough shape and there's not young talent there, well, like as a coach, then you come in, you have control right away, right? Like you come in and you can tell the guys, like, look, like what you were doing wasn't working, so do it my way and we'll get different results. You have a lot of guys in that roster right now who won under Pete Carroll and who played well and developed under Pete Carroll. Geno Smith went through a career renaissance under Pete Carroll. There are a ton of young players, Charles Cross, Abe Lucas, Devin Weatherspoon, like lots of guys on that roster that should be, foundational to where the Seahawks are going that were either developed or enhanced by Pete Carroll. So, when you're walking into a situation like that, it's not as automatic, right? Like it's not as automatic as if, you were walking into a 2-14 team. You probably are going to have to sell those guys a little bit more. And those guys might want a little bit more input because they were doing things that were working, So I think that's a little bit more of a challenge. And, it was interesting talking to Mike about it because I think that's sort of the difference between a subtle difference in the challenge he faced at Michigan versus the challenge he faced at Baltimore, where, Michigan, he was going into a place where they weren't very good the year before. The defense had been good, but they weren't very good the year before, and the guys didn't really know him. When he got to Baltimore, he had sort of, I think, maybe dipped his toe in the pool instead of diving right in on changes because he knew all of those guys, and he had been there before, and they had been so successful. And so, I think those two experiences, a subtle difference, the experience he has as a coordinator from Michigan to Baltimore, I think serves him well here because it prepares him for the challenge he faces in inheriting a situation that's not broken.
Hey, Albert, my wife and I do this thing. She's my business partner, right? And when we go out to these lunches or wherever, and we're talking business, and a question is, I guess, say, sent to me or sent to her, and it's not our expertise, we can take it to a certain place, and right before we get to that place where we're done, we kind of give each other the look of the nod, and then they automatically, or she automatically takes it over, or I take it over, and we kind of bounce off each other like that. Is that the type of feel you got with these two? It's like, all right, I'm going to take this answer as far as I can, but I know this is where John comes in, so I'm going to send it his way and vice versa.
Yeah, it was like a natural. I mean, they just sound natural talking together, which I think is a big part of it. And that's what you're probably looking to come out of the interview with, like, quite honestly. And, there's a lot of unknown when you're only meeting with a guy twice before you hire him. But, through your research and then through the rapport that you're able to build, if it comes really easy, that's a good sign. And I think that was I hope you guys took that from the story, that was a big part of it for the two of them, right? And I think some of that trust was reflected in, Mike and his staff consciously taking a step back during the draft process and, letting John Schneider and his scouts go to work, because right now they're the ones who've done all the work. They're the ones who sort of established things. And so, obviously to get input from your coaches, but the coaches were able to kind of take a step back here and let the process play out. And I think that was one thing that was really encouraging to Mike and his staff too, was that watching that play out, they wound up with the sorts of players that those guys would have drafted if it weren't up to them anyway. You know, and you'll see how that evolves over the course of years. And the coaches obviously be more involved in year 2 than they were in year 1, and year 3 than they were in year 2. You know, but the early signs were really good that rapport was there.
All right, heading outside of Seattle, we only got you for a couple more minutes. So wanted to take a look at some interesting stories around the league. I know that in your column for Sports Illustrated last week, you wrote about the structure of Justin Jefferson's contract and maybe what took a long time to figure out for the team. Looking forward, 2 interesting quarterback situations. You got Dak with the Cowboys, and then, of course, you got Tua in Miami. These may be 2 very different quarterback contracts, but neither is decided yet, and we're all watching both closely. Is there one that intrigues you more, and what do you wish you could know or have answered about that situation?
Well, the Jordan Love one really intrigues me just because, like, you have evidence that he's got the ability to play at a high level, but you just don't have a lot of track record, right? Like, so how do you pay a guy like that? And my guess would be you probably pay him at the top of the market, but maybe you don't have the guarantees that a guy who's got, you know, more of a more proof of concept, you know, on his resume will get. So that one's interesting to me. The Tua, I think, like, Tua winds up getting done because the Dolphins have done everything that they needed to do, and they jumped through all the hoops they've needed to jump through in sort of reformatting the roster. They let Jerome Baker and Xavier Howard go. They let Christian Wilkins walk in free agency. You know, they've re-signed Jalen Waddle, so they've sort of started to do the things that you'll do when you get, you know, when your quarterback gets more expensive. Dak's the one to me that I look at that, and, like, if of the 3 guys we're talking about here, would be the one that I think would surprise me the least if he's not another team in 2025. Doesn't mean I think it's going to happen, but I sort of get the feeling that the Cowboys may be with Dak Prescott right now, where the Rams were with Jared Goff going into 2020. And again, doesn't mean they can't have great success, and he might not be on the team for a long time, but if they stumble and then some sort of opportunity comes along the way that it did with the Rams and Matthew Stafford, who knows what could happen.
I know we're supposed to focus on the Seahawks, Albert, but I got you here, and I'm going to ask you just a question. I want to ask you, you posted, it has nothing to do with football. We're on basketball. Sorry, Stacey.
Oh, no, I'm so glad you're asking, because this is, I wanted to ask you this, Albert.
So you posted that this was the right move for Dan Hurley. I'm an LA fan, grew up in LA, so this is close to my heart. And I can't disagree with you, because I understand. You know, I would have loved to have Dan coaching my Lakers, but there's a lot more for him to do and accomplish at UConn. What was your tweet about, and kind of walk me through your thinking behind it?
I just think that, like, I mean, so I don't know how you make it work with the Lakers right now. You know what I mean? Like Father Time's undefeated, right? Like, LeBron's still a really good player, but can he be one of the 2 best players on a championship team at this point in his career? I mean, and, like, what sort of other strings attached are coming with him? Can you get another star in there? If you can't get another star in there in the next year or 2, now you're offloading LeBron. Like, you know, obviously, you know, I think you have the deficit of draft picks. Like, what's the next step? Now it's LA. And it's the Lakers, so you're always going to be able to attract stars, and that's always going to be an attractive job for that reason and because of all the history. It just feels like this isn't the best time to take that job. And when you're someone who's got someone like Hurley, who's got the leverage that he's got, and you got a chance to, I mean, again, be like John Wooden, you know, of UConn. I just don't know why this would be the time you would leave. You know, it's easy for me to say that I'm not turning down $70 million. You know what I mean? Like, so, and who knows what he'll get from UConn, but that will be the reason why. I don't know. Would you agree with that? Like, I don't think this is not the time to take the Lakers job, right?
Yeah, I would agree. Maybe if LeBron was 5-6 years younger. Yeah, I mean, it's as much as it hurts to agree with you, it makes complete sense.
See, I got to be honest with both of you. I totally thought you were going to ask Albert about a tweet doing numbers this morning. Albert, that's your tweet about Caitlin Clark being snubbed from the Olympics. We have been talking about this all morning, whether or not it was completely on merit, whether or not it was the WNBA avoiding a distraction. And you put out a post this morning saying, look, Olympic teams should be picked on merit, no doubt. But then you pointed to a very real opportunity the WNBA in the Olympics at large had Would you mind talking just a bit about that point?
Yeah, it's one roster spot, and I understand. Like, it sucks that somebody would have to go home in that spot. But, I've heard people compare it to, like, the NBA and the NFL. The WNBA is not in that position. You know what I mean? Like, they're in a position where, I guess the Indiana Fever was drawing, 4,000 people a game, something like that, and now it's 17,000 because of this one person. And, she's going to cause people to watch games. She'd cause people to watch Olympic games. And and I'm not an expert on this, but it sounds like the U.S. is just going to roll through the Olympics, right? There won't be a ton of reason for people to watch them. And by putting Caitlin Clark on the team, you're giving people a reason to watch, and that gives people a window to see all the other great players. And, maybe the next time they're coming back to watch somebody else because they came the first time to watch Caitlin Clark. That's how you grow a sport, And, I've heard these parallels between, all right, like Tim Tebow in the NFL, right? Like, I guess, like, that would be an example of somebody who might be put on a team, like, where it's not about merit. Or, like in the NBA when Jeremy Lin, like, when that whole thing blew up, right? Like, and how he became a draw. I just don't think the WNBA is in the same position those leagues are. They're in a position where they need to grow. And this would have been a really easy way to do it. Putting her on that roster would have been a very easy way to get more people watching women's basketball, which I thought was the goal.
He is MMQB's Albert Breer, kind enough to join us to talk about his latest column. Make sure you go check it out. Excellent read. Albert, we kept you just a couple minutes late. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Albert.
All good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. I'm going to skip through 4 down territory. We only have a couple minutes.
How dare you.
I know, but I wanted to talk basketball, if that's okay. So I figured you'd be okay with the trade-off. I'm going to throw you a couple questions about Caitlin, about what Albert had to say about the Lakers, and then we'll do a little tiny talk about the NBA Finals here. So I'll start with his take on Caitlin. We talked about it a little bit this morning. We've talked about this entire take plenty. What do you make of, though, the idea that, look, if you're going to roll through anyways, and if you're going to get gold anyways.
Yeah, that's what stuck. Automatically I go, yeah, because I don't know women's basketball international like that. I don't know if, when I think of men's basketball, I know France is going to be tough. I know Spain is going to be tough. Every now and then, Puerto Rico is going to put out a team or two.
Yeah.
I don't know the landscape of women's basketball like that. So as soon as he said, it sounds like you're going to roll through competition anyway, why the heck not? Why wouldn't you want to get as many eyes as possible on your product? The USA basketball team is the WNBA's product because you don't have the overseas influence that the NBA has at this point. I think eventually you are going to get that influence as this game grows. But that makes complete sense. You capitalize. You strike while the iron is hot. You ride the wave. Any other cliche you want to say, that's what you have to do. That's good marketing. That's good business. So the WNBA missed an opportunity with this. And I think it's because they want to appease the older players like Diana Taurasi who don't think that she deserves it. Other young players who don't, I wouldn't say hating on her, but are a bit envious of the attention that she is getting, even though I feel like she has earned it. If this is a lock to win a gold medal, why would you put the most popular player in your league on that team? It's ain't USA men's basketball where dudes are coming for your head. This is going to be the most competitive Olympic basketball tournament that the U.S. has ever seen. You put your best guys out there. And even then, I think they got it wrong as well. But, yeah, man, this is it's bad business, honestly, man.
I know. What do you make of the pushback? I'm curious because I like that opinion. And I think the pushback that some people have to it, particularly more longtime WNBA fans, is, well, the WNBA shouldn't be forced to jump through hoops and dance because you want them to dance and do whatever you want them to do just for the sake of being more popular. And I understand that idea of, no one should want their favorite team and their league and whatever to just do something to get views and to do something to get popularity, even if the WNBA could use more of it and deserves more of it. But it's not like Caitlin's bad. I would understand it if Caitlin was just, she's here because she's, for some reason, a viral sensation. She's an influencer, and so she's here, and we should put her on the team. Like, if she brought nothing. She's leading all rookies in scoring.
Yeah.
Like, that's where that's where my pushback to that take is.
And she's the 13th leader in scoring in the league, and she's outscoring a couple girls you got on this team. A couple women, excuse me. Opposite kind of stage of their career. Why did the LA Galaxy pay like $250 million for David Beckham to come to the MLS?
Popularity.
Eyes were going to be on him.
Yep.
My man was at the end of his career, 30-something years old, still gave you a couple good moments, but was nothing like he was in Europe. Why do you do it? Because it grows your league. Look at this league now. The MLS is real. It is real. And now you got guys coming over all the time. Messi is here, granted, towards the end of his career.
Still.
Ronaldo's thinking about coming over towards the end. But why do they do that? It's good for business.
And it's selling tickets.
And it's
working.
It's business, baby. Let's go.
Beckham documentary on Netflix, by the way. 10 out of 10. Recommend it. I enjoyed it so much. And let me tell you what. Victoria Beckham's a ride or die.
Is she?
She really is.
Yeah.
She's a real one. What did you make of his take on Hurley? Did he make the right decision?
Yeah, it makes sense, man. LeBron's going to be out of here. You have no young talent with the Lakers. Anthony Davis is probably going to be a piece move to try to bolster this roster up again. I just hate that the Celtics are balling right now, and we don't have a coach.
Yeah. Someone said she's not the most popular. She's popular because the media made her famous. Guess what being popular is?
Oh, my God.
Who are people talking about the most? Who are people talking about the most right now?
And why are they talking about her? Because she's the greatest scorer in college basketball history. #1 pick. She's popular because of that.
All right, get your questions in for What I Need to Know coming your way in 20 minutes, 866-979-3776.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
He is John Morosi.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
You were saying there's definitely a sense of urgency at the trade deadline.
If Pete Alonso is there and available, you probably make that move. I agree with you that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is probably unlikely, but if Christian Walker with the D-backs, those types of names are going to be out there and available, maybe even Lamont Wade Jr. with the Giants. I like the way this team is trending, and I still believe their best offensive days are ahead.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
We all know what UV rays can do to our skin, but they can also do damage to your car. Keep that from happening with 303 Protectant. 303 Protectant keeps the sun's harmful rays from causing fading and cracking in rubber, plastic, or vinyl surfaces. From the dashboard to the tires, 303 Protectant keeps your car looking new longer. Get 303 Protectant today at AutoZone. Visit 303radio.com for more information.
Father's Day is just around the corner, and Wild Wheat Bakery is cooking up something special for Dad. Come in now for coconut cake with coconut cream, tempting cheesecake with buttercream, and zesty lemon cake, always a favorite. All made in-house with the finest ingredients. The way to Dad's heart is through his stomach, so make his day with a decadent treat from Wild Wheat Bakery. Order online for pickup in Kent at wildwheatbakery.com. Order 2 days ahead for pickup on Father's Day. Just go to wildwheatbakery.com.
If you've been in a wreck or a fender bender,
You have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility, not just where your insurance company tells you to go. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. With over 25 years of auto repair work, they'll exceed your expectations.
we meet by accident, fixing every last dent. Accurate Auto Body.
At Accurate Auto Body, all their work is performed by certified technicians, only using OEM parts to guarantee the safety of you and your family. For the best in auto body collision repair and customer service, give them a call at 425-883-2450 or AccurateAutoBodyWA.com. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
We meet by accident, fixing every last dent. Accurate Auto Body.
Hey everybody, Bob Stelton here, and I want to introduce you to something that was new to me and probably new to a lot of homeowners out there, a metal roof. Now, the first thing I thought of, is it loud when it rains? I had no idea a metal roof was even an option until my most recent meeting with Anthony, the owner of Asset Roofing. And like Anthony usually does, he carefully explained a metal roof does not make noise when it rains, and metal roofs have a lifespan of about 40 years, double the traditional roof. Metal roofs are more eco-friendly and can be made in any color to match your home. Anthony also told me he's seeing a huge push in the market for metal roofing, and Asset Roofing is meeting the demand. They create each metal roof at their headquarters, custom to each job. That allows them to offer metal roofs with up to a 30% discount over their competitors. Reach out to Asset Roofing about a metal roof for your home. AssetRoofingCo.com. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
We are Seattle Sports.
Tyler Locklear with his first base hit, first RBI. The Mariners have a 2-1 lead.
The home of the Mariners.
The IRS deadline has come and gone. So do you owe money to the IRS? If so, you need an ally. Whether you owe the IRS $6,000 or $600,000, whether your tax problems are personal or business, the professionals at Allies Tax Relief are ready to step in and negotiate your fresh start with the IRS. Here's a happy customer of Allies Tax Relief.
Before calling Allies Tax Relief, I feared the IRS would take all of my assets. I owed them over $562,000. Thankfully, I was referred to Allies and called them for help. They ultimately saved my life from uncertainty. Allies negotiated my giant tax debt to an unbelievable $1,500. They are professionals and they fight the fight for their clients.
Allies Tax Relief will protect your assets from being seized and your paycheck from being garnished. Call right now for your free consultation. 800-296-0772. That's 800-296-0772. Or visit AlliesTaxRelief.com.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Getting back to that conversation that you and I were having about personnel versus coaches, I mentioned, there's still lots of untapped potential here. I know that I just talked about how drafting had been an issue for a while and they really had missed on a lot of picks. It has turned around of late. There are guys that have obvious potential. Devin Witherspoon. Not untapped potential, like obvious potential. You are looking at Devin. And then there are guys that I'm kind of curious in, and I'm wondering whether they can benefit most from Mike McDonald coming here. So if you are looking at the players on this roster as untapped wells, where do you look? You can go position group, you can go player. And you go, you know what? If I had a crystal ball and I could look a year into the future and see what Mike McDonald and his crew were able to do with this guy, I would be most curious in him. There's a lot of choices.
I would be most curious in, that is a...
I know, you've got Requel and you've got Chenna, you've got...
I know the roster.
There's so many good choices.
I would, you know what? I'm going to go, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with just Haynes. I want to see what Haynes looks like. Because if you're able to draft another lineman, you've already got your tackles you feel like are good. You have your guard. You think you might have your center, Oluwatimi is fighting with Nick Harris. But what if Haynes comes in there and now you got a four-headed monster still looking for the fifth one, but you got four guys on that line who can be together for 5 to 8 years and dominate. I think that would have the biggest effect on an offense. This offense specifically. Obviously, you're still going to go down the road and probably get a quarterback eventually. But if you got an offensive line that is great at the run block, that can pass pro, that can good in screens, do anything you want and be together and young for a while, I think that could really transform an offense.
Oh, I like the way you framed it, because it's almost like we're looking at the biggest what ifs on the roster, right?
Mhm.
And I'm initially thinking like, well, what if Uchenna can be a Pro Bowler and get double-digit sacks? You haven't had that for so long. I love the idea of, well, wait a minute. What if you drafted a great starting offensive lineman? Now you're talking about an entire phase of your game being different.
It's like how would I compare it? You've almost not guaranteed yourself, but made yourself offensively relevant for almost a decade if these guys can go. If they can go, you can't just put anybody behind the center. You can't just throw anybody on the outsides. But that's a hell of a place to start. A quarterback's going to look at that offensive line and say, I can work with that line. We're learning that through the draft, you can go deep into the draft and find yourself receivers. And you're going to have to start doing that because guys are getting paid so much that it's going to be cheaper to go deeper in the draft.
Hey, bars.
Let's go.
866-979-3776. Two things. One, send in your questions for what I need to know coming up at 45 after. We're about 10 minutes away. And also we're talking about kind of our biggest what ifs on this roster. I'm looking at it defensively, and I went with the easy one with what if Reek Woolen has another level?
Mm-hmm.
And what if you have two Pro Bowl caliber cornerbacks, which, by the way, all love to Browner, to other guys that have played opposite Sherm. You've never really had two lockdown corners.
No. You've had Sherm on one side. The other side was kind of rotating a little bit.
Yeah.
Maxwell was there for a while.
And I don't want to disrespect him in any way.
Still good ball players.
But Sherm was clearly the better of the two and kind of the face of the Legion of Boom. But, like, what if you had two guys?
You got two lockdown corners, man. That cover three that we expect to see quarters as well, man, it's going to be beautiful. Because now you can be – when you have two corners who are locked down, there are mental games you can play with a quarterback. If you're playing a cover three or a cover four, essentially you have the same responsibility. It's just in cover three you have a third of the field, and obviously in cover four you have a fourth of the field. But your job is to turn your butt to the sideline, get deep, don't let anybody get behind you. When you have corners like Sherm was the best at this, man. He'd walk up to the line of scrimmage, give you an inside shade look. Eyes are not in the backfield. Then at the snap, boom, put his left hand in your chest, bam, get outside leverage on you. Now he's running down the sideline. He gets into his coverage. Mentally, if I'm a quarterback, I'm looking at that side. I'm looking at Sherm, and I'm looking at the safeties. I go, all right, bam, they're giving me a cover one look. Okay, I might want to take a shot. Let's see what our routes look like. So it's more flexibility. And then same thing. Sherm would start deep, butt to the sideline, eyes in the backfield, looking like it's a 3 or 4. Then boom, roll down last second, jam yo, you know what? Then boom, get up out of there. It's just so many things that you can do pre-snap and during the play that will mess with the quarterback's eyes, and as a receiver, it'll mess up how we decide to attack that defender.
One of my favorite I'm mixing up untapped potential and what ifs, but I find the what if to be more fascinating. I always talk about Ryan Grubb and his transition to the NFL as though so much will be lost at the college level because the NFL is that much harder. And I do think that's true. I just think that's the reality of the situation. But what if there's more that comes with it than I think? Like, what if there is a lot of magic and a lot of creativity that he's able to bring to a Seahawks offense where we haven't seen that? Not just in a long time, but like maybe ever. Like, that's just not been the type of offense that Pete Carroll ever ran. I remember being blown away that they were using tight ends more and being like, wow, this is next level stuff, guys. Look out. They're using those tight ends. It has been, I can't remember a time ever thinking that this offense is a word I would use, innovative. But what if they can be?
And there's a possibility. And the reason why there's a possibility is because once I feel like this, at least once you get into the NFL as a coach and a coordinator, it's almost like you try your best to stick to things that have been proven in this league to work, and you're less likely to challenge some of the philosophies and way that people think and approach when it comes to attacking the defense or an offense. When you're fresh out of college, I feel like you're more inclined to be a bit more creative, which could lead to two things. Extreme success in the league changing and doing things the way that you do it, or it ain't working. You got to conform to what works in this league. But because the league has changed and has spread out and we're seeing quarterbacks throw for 40 touchdowns, 50 at times, I look at what Grubb likes to do and say, it should be fine. It should be fine because he's also going to have the personnel to do it, just like he had the personnel to do it in UW and obviously the one-on-one matchups can contribute to a whole bunch of that success. He got one-on-one matchups here. DK's going to win some one-on-ones. Jason's going to win some one-on-ones. Locke is going to do that. But I would assume that he'll have to dial back some a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not going to be just an easy transition. Everything's going to work. It's going to flow. But he's going to put some things on film that some coordinators, especially in this division, will be like, man, we haven't seen that. All right, how are we going to attack this? Football is just football. There are great minds out there. They will find ways to challenge Grubb. It ain't going to be all easy. But you just provide a different type of stress that isn't seen as frequently on this level as it is in college.
I think it's just something I naturally do, is almost like take credit away from him early, and I tend to be a glass half empty person, so maybe I'm mentally preparing myself for this team starting out slow. I also see Michael Penix as being like having a better arm than Geno, right? So there's just certain things, and you've talked about, well, those are NFL caliber wide receivers going against a Pac-12 defenses, not NFL receivers going against NFL defensive backs. Like two very different things.
It's different.
But I do wonder if there is real potential for there to be some creativity that's carried over. And I think, if you and I are looking at Geno, maybe is it wrong to see Geno as a limitation to that creativity and not instead as seeing him as being another weapon for Grubb?
Nah, the reason why I say no, and I think we'll have a better idea after this year, is because I feel like Geno's still growing. Yeah, he's old on paper, but not in football. He didn't play a lot. He hasn't had opportunities to watch a year of film, then another year of film, and say, okay, this is what I need to get better at. This is what I need to correct. So I think Geno has at least another year or two of growth when it comes to performance, understanding football and defenses and protecting himself. I'm sure he's fine in that aspect, but it's about being out there and executing these things. I think there's still more for Geno to learn, and it has to be cool for Ryan Grubb to have an older quarterback who you can talk to, and he sees the game differently, but he's also young and experienced to where there's still so many things that you can do to mold him. Yep.
All right, get your questions in for What I Need to Know. Any question, text it now. Any question you have, 866-979-3776. I'll say this, Bump. We do get a lot of sports questions, right? But sometimes my favorite questions are like, hey, what's your take on this? Like, I did this, my friend did this, or I'm doing this.
Sometimes those are your favorite questions.
They are, and I have one that's really messy.
Nice.
And it's starting What I Need to Know, coming your way next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Brian Wu, man, he's looked good. When's it going to stop? Hopefully never.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
In Mariners history, lowest ERA over the first 6 starts of a season, 1.07. I always think about our little game that we play. Who should be the ace? Look at the numbers right now. If this continues, I don't know how many he would have to stack up here. Would it be 8 or 9 or 10 when you go, this guy's the ace? It's unbelievable.
Don't miss an hour of the show. Find the podcast at seattlesports.com.
Matt Coker here with West Coast Men's Health. In the past 5 years, we've seen thousands of men at our clinics. Most guys tell us the same story, that in their early 50s, it's not that they couldn't function, they just needed help. They started taking Viagra, and it worked great at first. But after a few years, it stopped working. The problem is that their arteries had become more restricted since they started taking it, because Viagra does not unclog arteries. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we use acoustic wave therapy to target the real problem. We break down plaque and clear up the arteries so blood can flow like it did in your 20s. This restores function. And guys, listen to this. You won't have to take a pill anymore. So if this sounds like you, give West Coast Men's Health a call today and see how we can help.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
It's Cookies Country Chicken pregame fry time reminder. Headed to the ball game? Come on down to Cookies in Pioneer Square for some real good chicken and tell them,
make it spicy.
Fresh fried chicken at Cookies. CookiesCountryChicken.com.
Over time, wearing glasses and contacts can be a bigger expense than having LASIK from King LASIK. The quick, painless, state-of-the-art way to see life better. And this month, save $1,000. Start with a free Zoom consult at KingLASIK.com.
Lexus is electrified, and the first ever RZ450E has the performance and range to get you where you need to go with the exclusive Lexus Direct 4 all-wheel drive technology. Lexus of Bellevue has over 50 RZs available for immediate delivery with electrifying savings up to $17,000 lease cash on every RZ450E. Visit LexusofBellevue.com.
O'Brien.
On approval of credit through LFS. Lease cash from Lexus available on select 2024 RZ styles. Must take delivery by July 1st, 2024. A documentary service fee up to $200 may be added to the purchase price or capitalized costs. See dealership for details.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards concert tickets for your daughter to see that singer who sings about painful breakups. And one song will inspire your little beauty to break up with that beast she's dating, Brian. Instead, she'll date someone who's nice and worthy of her love, not someone who addresses you and your spouse as bro. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
We are Seattle Sports.
Ringing the bell, Cal Raleigh, a 2-run single. And the Mariners' lead is now 6-3.
The home of the Mariners.
You ready for a road trip? Because it's time for the Harnish Auto Family Road Trip Sales Event. Hey, Brock Hewitt here. In this month, the Harnish Auto Family is offering a chance to win a $500 road trip package from Sportco and Outdoor Emporium. Test drive any vehicle and enter for your chance to win, no purchase necessary. You'll get an extra entry when you trade in or sell your vehicle. And if you service your vehicle during the event, you'll be entered into a giveaway for a sleek solo stove. Just stop by and take a test drive for your chance to win. HarnishAutoFamily.com. People matter. See dealership for details.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
June is Men's Health Month, and we want to place a special emphasis on prostate cancer awareness and treatment. After skin cancers, prostate cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer among American men. Prostate cancer can be silent. It's important to get checked even if you have no symptoms. If you or someone you know is diagnosed with prostate cancer, consider treatment at Swedish CyberKnife. It's one of the shortest and most effective, requiring only 5 treatment sessions. Go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
What I need to know, brought to you by Cookies Country Chicken. Get your questions in to the Mac and Jack's text line, 866-979-3776. Again, 866-979-3776. What I need to know, if you were Mike McDonald and had access to Pete Carroll as a consultant, what would you ask him?
I would ask him why you didn't run the ball on the goal line against the Patriots. Like that, like no one's listening. It's just me and you, Pete. Did you hear that call and be like, let's do it?
Yep.
Or were you hesitant with it?
I would ask him unfiltered thoughts on like 3 separate. I would want to pick the 3 players.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would make them like one still on the team or maybe more recently. Like I'd want to know like, what's your unfiltered thought on Jamal? Tell me exactly what you think about
Russell.
Jamal. Yeah.
Yours is better. I like yours better.
Thank you. What I need to know. This one's the messy one. My future daughter-in-law is a bridezilla. And quite frankly, I don't see their marriage lasting, unfortunately.
Wow.
Do I wear a risque dress to the wedding because I know she won't like that?
This is coming from the mother of the groom? Then?
Yeah, which let me tell you right now, no, that's so tacky. And I don't even care that you're a listener. I am telling you right now.
Don't
I'm
do
sorry
it.
she's being a bridezilla. There are other ways.
Don't do
but
it.
keep it classy. Do not wear a risque dress just to spite her. She's being a bridezilla because, here's what I want to know. Is she actually a bridezilla, or are you afraid of giving up your son?
Ooh,
Guaranteed.
I said what I
those
said.
kinds of
I said what I
moms.
said.
It
There
happens.
are moms
It
that
happens.
do not want to let go of their son. You as a woman will never measure up to them. I'm not speaking from experience in mine. I love my boyfriend's mom. I am talking about, like, there are people out there. There are moms that are so possessive of their sons that, like, I think that's so tacky.
Listen, let me tell you something.
And thank you for listening. I love you so much.
My mom didn't want me to get married, and now she's like, you are lucky to have her.
See?
So
See? And they come around.
They
You
come
might come
around.
around. You might eventually be like, yes, she's on my side. You guys are girls. Like, you never know what can happen. But I will say this. Even though we have told you not to do it, I do want the tea, sis. Let me know what's going on.
I just think it'd be weird with the mom of the groom wearing a risque dress and having to pose with, like, her son
I
in
think
that
it's
dress.
wildly
That
inappropriate.
would be inappropriate.
If I was your best friend, I would tell you it's not worth it. Be above it. That's what I would tell you. So let me be your friend and tell you not to do it. But I do want to know more. Please tell me everything she does. Please tell me everything. What I need to know. Cheez-Its or Cheetos?
Cheez-Its.
Cheetos.
Puffy Cheetos.
Yeah.
Your fingers get all dirty.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Sometimes
Cheez-Its.
war is messy.
Cheez-Its, there's a lot of varieties, too. You got the grooves now, the white cheddar grooves. Whew. Man.
Cheez-Its are amazing. I will eat
Cheetos
an
are like
entire box.
90% air.
Cheetos are so good.
They're like a
so
tree.
good. Yeah, true.
That's what golfers say. Oh, you know, a tree is 85% air. Why did I hit it then? Why did I hit the tree?
What I need to know. My in-laws have adopted a raccoon much like yours with Lil Rick. What should they name it? Oh, man.
Little trick.
Little Trick?
A little trick.
Let's see what I need to know. Ooh, I have more information on the bride situation. She's a definite bridezilla, and she has already cheated in their relationship, and it's never been resolved. He's definitely settling. But I'll tone down the dress per your advice. You go, girl. I think that's the right move. Keep it classy.
He told you that she cheated too, huh?
Ooh, wow. That is messy.
You got to keep that to yourself next time, brother. Don't tell nobody.
Don't do it. Okay, what I need to know. How early do you leave for your flight? Are you like a leave 2 hours?
So if I'm leaving here, typically I leave here for my flight. So I'll have like a 5 o'clock flight. I'll leave here right after work, but I get there like an hour before because, I got that pre-check. I go right in that security. You know what I'm saying? Lines don't bother me, Matthew.
God.
I ain't said nothing to you all day. I just had to say something to you, Matthew.
It was such a great day until now.
What I need to know. Curtis and Stacy were being asked. What would you bring to the cookout? Bump. What would make you go to a picnic?
A picnic?
All right, y'all go first. What would y'all bring to the cookout?
I said Caesar salad, and everyone yelled at me and got mad at me. I love a Caesar salad and I love Diet Coke, and I'm gonna bring both. No, that's not. No, I'm gonna bring. Can I bring a dessert?
You can bring whatever you want that
Okay.
you think is gonna get good reviews.
I can't. Okay, I'm gonna bring. Let me think on this, Curtis.
I'm going to bring my wife's stepdad's recipe for his potato salad. It's kind of like I think it's more known as like a baked potato salad where it's got like bacon bits in it. It's got like green onion in it. It's really good. Made with red potatoes. I think you'd like it, Bob.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna bring.
It's very versatile.
I'm gonna bring. It's like a salad tossed with this, what you would call an anchovy dressing and Parmesan with some lemon. It's a Caesar salad.
No.
It's a Caesar salad. Can I bring, or I can make these blondies, these like brown sugar blondies.
Okay.
Look, I don't like potato salads. I don't like mac salads. You know what I struggle?
You would like this
4th of July as a food genre, I struggle. I really struggle.
That's one of the best eating holidays out there.
I don't like
It's all
cold
grill food.
I don't like potato salads and mac salads and all that. Like barbecue sides, I don't mess with them.
Okay.
Unless it's breads or biscuits. I'll bring biscuits. I'm not getting invited, am I?
You know what? You bring biscuits, could be like, man, get her racist. You know what? Out of here, bringing biscuits.
Can you
what
imagine?
you think? You're better off bringing a salad. Just bring the salad. I'd be like, no. She got a salad in the car. She got a salad in the car.
Wow. And she's racist. Like, I'm so sorry. It's a delicious salad.
She'd be like, but I got the recipe from Popeyes, guys.
Oh, no.
Oh my
man.
God. Hey, just make me a strong drink and I'm there.
Okay, I'll bring
There you go.
alcohol. That's what I'll do. Let's see. What would make you go to a picnic?
Yeah, just strong drink.
Or a Caesar salad? Okay.
Moscow Mule. Hook me up.
What? I need to know. Let's see. Someone said just bring some white bread, Stacy. Wow. What food is not okay on a first date?
Anything that
glizzy?
jacks the bread,
Yeah.
the bread up. Or the glizzy.
Yeah, glizzy. Hot dog. Babe, you want to go out for hot dogs? Bump, your lunch glizzies did smell pretty good, though.
I did
I'm not
have
gonna
some
lie.
lunch
Yeah,
glizzies.
you brought some lunch glizzies.
Bump had hot dogs for lunch today.
All beef hot dogs, though. You know, if we're gonna do it, get the beef. All beef.
It does still smell a little bit like a glizzy, but it smells good.
Bob's gonna walk in here. What is that?
Yeah.
Well, why does it smell like a glizzy?
When's the last time you think Bob had a hot dog?
87.
We'll have to ask him. All right, you guys, that will do it for us today. For Michael Bumpus, Matt Nelson, Curtis Rogers, I'm Stacey Ross. Speaking of Bob, he's walking in right now. Wyman and Bob coming up next.
Your home for Wyman and Bob.
Brian Wu. Man, he's looked good. When's it going to stop? Hopefully never.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
In Mariners history, lowest ERA over the first 6 starts of a season, 1.07. I always think about our little game that we play. Who should be the ace? Look at the numbers right now. If this continues, I don't know how many he would have to stack up here. Would it be 8 or 9 or 10 when you go, this guy's the ace? It's unbelievable.
Don't miss an hour of the show. Find the podcast at seattlesports.com.
Everyone wants to get the best deal they can when they buy a car. But what about when you want to sell your car? Of course, you want to get the most money possible. But how do you get the most you can without trying to sell it yourself? Well, that's where my friends at Wayscar Ford in Auburn step in. Not only will they buy your car today, but that's just the beginning. Once they resell your old car, they send you another check for 50% of the profit of the sale of your old car. They've already given back over $600,000 to their customers. Mark, GM of Wayscar Ford, joins me, and it's such a great offer. But to clear up any confusion, is this like a consignment, and how can you offer this?
It's not a consignment, Stacy. In a consignment, the dealer that's trying to sell your car hasn't paid you yet. We pay you right up front. No more insurance, no more maintenance. All that's gone. After that's done, we pay half the profit. It's that simple. There's no magic to this. All the money we're saving by not buying at auctions, the shipping fees and the travel, we're giving it back to you. That's how it works.
So get the most money possible at Wayscar Ford Isuzu in Auburn and let them do the work.
At Shane Company, we believe everyone deserves a personal jeweler. Whether it's a gemstone expert to show you every shape, size, and color until you find the perfect stone, someone dedicated to helping you find just the right gift in your price range, or our unmatched free lifetime warranty that protects your jewelry for life. At Shane Company, we know jewelry is personal. Come visit us and let us show you around. We go above and beyond to spark joy for all our customers. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Summertime is Pacific Power Batteries time. Okay, maybe that's a stretch. But we do sell more batteries in the spring and summer because you folks are all out there doing stuff. Golf carting and boating and buzzing around on stuff that needs batteries. When's a good time? How about tomorrow? We're open 7 days a week to test any battery and let you know the honest answer. Summertime and the cranking is easy. Happy trails from Pacific Power Batteries.
Attention contractors, builders, and heavy equipment operators. It's a monster 3-day heavy equipment, trucks, and much more auction at the James G. Murphy Auction Company in Marysville underway now. Equipment like a 2021 Weiler B458 Feller Buncher, 16 excavators, 8 dozers, a 2018 Komatsu WA270-8